Well, hello everyone. Election night. We are going to do some live coverage and check out. We got some big races, probably the ones that are getting the most attention here are the Virginia governor, could make history with the state's first female governor. The matchup is between Winsome Earl Sears and Abigail Spanberger. The New Jersey gubernatorial race, seen as a national mood test heading towards the 2026 midterms. We have, of course, the New York City mayor race. It's been getting a lot of attention. It's a major urban race with generational and some ideological divides there. And the California Prop 50, we've been hearing a lot about, redistricting measure that could reshape the U.S. House representation by allowing the legislature to temporarily redraw the maps. And Governor Newsom has been out there saying that, this is how they're going to fight back against Trump. So we've got an interesting night ahead of us. We will bring you results as they happen. For now, we're going to go to C-SPAN's coverage of the race, and we will jump between different providers as we get different breaking news between the races.
Independent, has his own brand. And I think you saw that with Youngkin, and I'm not sure you're going to see that tonight with Winsome Earl Sears.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn Youngkin, when you look at his 2021 performance, he did better than Donald Trump in 2024 in many areas in Virginia. Now, Joe Biden was in the White House. How big of a factor was that?
Huge, huge. I mean, we know that in Virginia, the party in power in the White House almost always suffers a loss in the governor's race. It's really the first opportunity for voters anywhere in the country to express their discontent with the with the party in power in Washington. In this case, Republicans have a trifecta, and they have been particularly, active in using their the executive authority. And so I think you see a lot of Democrats very frustrated about that in Virginia. This has been an early opportunity for them. In 2021, it was the reverse. Republicans were very upset about COVID. They were upset about how Democrats handled it, how governors handled it, schools being closed, mask mandates, right? These are things that we haven't even talked about in years, right? They're no longer issues that really resonate with the electorate right now. And that's part of the reason that this cycle hasn't been as good for Republicans in Virginia.
Sabrina Siddiqui, exit polls, CNN exit polls out of Virginia showing that 6 in 10 voters say they're dissatisfied or angry with the way things are going in the country today. So back in 2020, Joe Biden was in the White House. It's 2025. Donald Trump's in the White House.
I mean, now President Trump has all the challenges of the incumbency, and it's a lot easier to blame someone else for what voters see as the nation's shortcomings when you're not in the White House or when you're not in office. And I think that that's such a key distinction, as we were just talking about, between when Glenn Youngkin was running and now with Winsome Earl Sears. And when you think about even just the cultural flashpoints that Glenn Youngkin centered a lot of his campaign around, it's easier to do so when there's sort of a more national narrative that Republicans could construct around the Biden administration. And this is Biden's America, liberal America, and look what they're teaching your children in schools, and look at all the ways in which, they've refused to return back to normal after COVID era policies that at some point people wanted to put behind them. I think those are all really important points. And now, when you're looking at the state of the country, the dissatisfaction very much has to do with President Trump. And you've seen that reflected in poll after poll. Now, I did have an interesting conversation with some Democratic pollsters who told me that there are some warning signs here for Democrats, because even if they have a good night, this shift does not necessarily have much to do with anything that Democrats are actually doing. More so than this deep dissatisfaction with the Trump administration and their inability to bring costs down. So, I think that it's a little bit more of a way of expressing to the party to be a little bit cautious and not necessarily take a huge victory lap when there's still a lot of problems with the Democratic Party's image. And I don't think that those issues are going to resolve themselves tonight, even if they have a strong night.
All right, let's just take a look at Virginia right now. This is 0% of votes in. And you can see here that Abigail Spanberger, the Democratic candidate here, leading by 2,609 votes. Her share of the vote, 64.7% to 35.2. Again, very early. The Associated Press has 0% of votes in. This is the lieutenant governor race, and you can see again the Democratic candidate there. Ghazala Hashmi is in the lead over John Reed. And then look at the J. Jones numbers right now. Again, this is very early on. We expect this to change. We're just showing you this now as polls just closed minutes ago in Virginia. And we're going to keep an eye on it. And you can do so as well. If you want to follow these races closely, you can go to our website, cspan.org. And we have the map there of Virginia, the Associated Press results. They will update in real time. You can keep your fingers on these Virginia results. If that's what you're interested, go on to New York, New Jersey, California. We're monitoring it all tonight. Speaking of New York, let's go up to New York. Spectrum News 1. Bobby Kuza is joining us, New York 1 Spectrum's political reporter, to give us an update on the mayor's race there. Bobby Kuza, what do you have for us?
Yes, well, all eyes are on Zohran Mamdani, of course. I mean, this race has become a national story because he has really came out of nowhere. I mean, going back to the primary here, which took place back in June, he emerged from a pretty crowded field as having been somebody who was a virtual unknown here in New York City. He was kind of an obscure state assemblyman from Queens. But Mamdani, he's really a uniquely talented politician. He's a young guy. He's only 34 years old. He had a talent for making, and has a talent for making, these social media videos that got a lot of traction. He got a lot of young people excited about this race. And on top of that, he had a single-minded message that was all about affordability. At a time when some of the other candidates in the primary were talking about public safety, and policing here in New York City, he was relentlessly focused on bringing down the cost of living, and that really is what resonated with people. So he won kind of a stunning upset in the primary back in June, and then, as those who have been following the race know, we saw the former governor, Andrew Cuomo, who lost in the primary, then decided to go ahead and run in the general election in November as an independent candidate. So this has really been a clash, sort of a rematch, really, between those two. And it has gotten kind of ugly in the last few weeks, but at this point, Mamdani is considered the overwhelming favorite. He's been ahead in the polls, and so we're watching tonight to see if he wins.
Okay, we had
by how much
some
he wins, whether he can
unfortunate
break that
breaking
50.
news here. A UPS plane has crashed at the Louisville airport. And oh my, that does not look good. Several first responders at the scene. And apparently, let me get this annoying beep out of everyone's ears. Apparently, this was a UPS plane. There are several injuries reported. And again, this is at the Louisville airport. Wow, just a terrible, terrible looking situation there. I guess the good news is that it's not some kind of terror attack or something like that. It looks to be, so far, what we're hearing appears to be just an accidental plane crash. My word, and that does not, again, in Louisville, does not look good. We will keep an eye on that. And if we hear anything more, we will certainly cut back to that. What a nightmare that looks like, though. All right, we're going to go back to election coverage, and if we get anything new on this plane crash, we certainly will cut back to it.
Remade himself in a way that would broaden his appeal to a larger electorate, and I think that is what has been successful these last few months in allowing him to win. If he does go ahead and win once these polls close at 9 o'clock in this election, despite the fact that he started out as a pretty far left candidate. I mean, even within the primary field in the Democratic primary here in New York, he was by far the furthest to the left, politically speaking, and here he is now on the cusp of winning.
What does the ballot look like when the voters go in and New York City residents go in to vote today and tonight? What does the ballot look like?
Well, I'll tell you, I voted today, and I had 4 pages on my ballot, if you count front and back, because this is a year where we've got city elections. And so mayor, all the other citywide offices, city council, there's 51 city council districts here in New York City. There's judgeships, there's borough presidencies for all 5 boroughs, a couple district attorney races. So it's a very crowded ballot. There's also some ballot questions that pertain to building affordable housing here in New York City, sort of streamlining that process. But look, New York City is a Democratic town, right? I mean, we're talking about a city council that has 51 seats. Out of those 51 seats, only 6 of them are held by Republicans. So in a city like this, what happens a lot of time is you get a very competitive Democratic primary for some of these races, but then not so much in the general election when the Democrat ordinarily kind of cruises to winning that election. So a lot of times these November elections are not that interesting. And again, this year there are not a lot of competitive races down ballot, but there is so much attention on the mayor's race because it is so unusually competitive this time around with Cuomo against Mamdani, and the fact you've got 3 pretty viable candidates. And until recently, there was a lot of attention on the current mayor, Eric Adams, and whether or not he was going to follow through with his run. So crowded ballot, but really all of the attention tonight is on that top of the ballot with the mayor's race.
And Eric Adams dropped out of the race. Is he still on the ballot?
He is on the ballot. Interestingly, he only dropped out a few weeks ago, and that was well past the time when he could have legally had his name removed from the ballot. So it's going to be interesting to see whether some folks who either haven't been paying attention or decided that they are so loyal to Eric Adams, they're going to fill in that bubble next to his name anyway. We'll see whether, you know, he can ends up winning 1 or 2 or 3% in this election. But what Adams did, he came out and he backed Andrew Cuomo, even though the two of them have a lot of animosity for each other and had clashed earlier on in this campaign. But Eric Adams says that Zohran Mamdani is an existential threat to the future of New York City and that he has to be stopped however possible. And if the only way to do that is to back Andrew Cuomo, then that's what he decided to do. And that's actually a very similar rationale to what we heard from Donald Trump, saying that Mamdani had to be stopped. And if it was a choice between a communist, as Trump calls him, even though he's really a democratic socialist, but Trump says if it's a decision between a communist and a bad Democrat, which is what he called Andrew Cuomo, I'll take the bad Democrat every time. So Cuomo has gotten some support from some pretty interesting places.
Bobby Cusa, New York One Spectrum political reporter with an update on the New York mayor's race. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We will, of course, bringing you New York One, Spectrum New York One's coverage of the New York mayoral race later this evening. Their in-depth analysis and coverage of that race. That's coming up on C-SPAN's Election Night 2025. Let's go to Virginia. Polls have closed there and give you an update. With 2% of the vote in, Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat, former Congresswoman, former CIA agent, still in the lead here. Just again, though, 2% of the vote in. For Lieutenant Governor, we can show you the results there. Ghazala Hashmi also in the lead with just 2% of the vote in. And in this closely watched Attorney General race, this is the one that we're watching to see what happens here with Jay Jones, the Democratic candidate. He's challenging the incumbent, Jason Miyares there, the Republican there. He's challenging him controversial text messages purporting political violence. So we're watching to see closely what happens with this race. Matthew Klein, you were talking about this earlier. We heard from Politico. Politico was referring to this attorney general race.
So just to let you know, we are keeping an eye on everything. We've got the Cuomo campaign rally. We've got some election lines in Houston. We've got the Mamdani campaign rally and the Earl Sears campaign rallies. So we will be keeping an eye on these as they begin to fill up and start having speakers. If any of them are relevant, we'll certainly be jumping back over.
Any big projections, but I do think that he'll probably run behind, and it could take a little while longer before we make a call in that attorney general's race.
Sabrina Siddiqui.
I think Matthew brought up a really important point earlier, which is let's see how big Abigail Spanberger's margin is. And can she actually help carry Jay Jones over the finish line? I think that political violence has obviously taken center stage in recent months, especially after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And we hear from voters constantly that they are deeply concerned about the climate, the ratcheting up of the rhetoric, and the threat of political violence. And I think that that's why this scandal did break through. Now, you hear, when I talk to some Democrats, they felt like maybe if it had happened a little bit later, in the final weeks of the campaign or final days, then it could have been a little bit more of a curveball. And I thought Matthew brought up another important point earlier when he said that Earl Sears also just was not positioned to capitalize on it. She tried during the gubernatorial debate. She kept going after Spanberger for refusing to call on Jay Jones to drop out of the race. I remember her saying something like, would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And obviously Spanberger condemned the remarks, but did not call on Jay Jones to drop out of the race because I think, as Matthew pointed out earlier, if her campaign saw polling suggesting that he was truly a liability, they would have called for him to go. But I think they saw it as more of a distraction from the campaign that Spanberger was trying to run. How it all plays out, that obviously remains to be seen.
I want to show our viewers, if they go to cspan.org, how you can play around with the maps tonight and what you're going to see from the Associated Press results, looking at the state of Virginia. And you can see how they're shading in counties based on how the vote is trending at this point. Matthew Klein, if you or look at this map, what are you seeing? This is just initial, obviously. Initial votes in, 2% the last time we checked with the Associated Press. But is this following along with historical patterns?
So far, yes. It does look like Republicans are having much stronger night than Democrats out in the western part of the state. You see a lot of that bright red area out there, that sort of mountainous area, coal country. Maybe used to be more Democratic back in the 1980s, and nowadays it's solidly Republican. Not much yet from Northern Virginia. I think that's worth noting, although seeing that start to fill in a little bit there. We would expect that to become very, very blue. Arlington, it looks like a small portion of Arlington County has maybe reported, and also we're still, seeing some Democratic strength around Richmond. I'm going to be keeping an eye on Virginia Beach, which is in the southeast corner of the state.
All right. Now, while we're seeing these folks running for Congress, we have
10 a.m. tomorrow
some
morning.
actual voting going on, and the Senate has just stand adjourned. We did not, I repeat, we did not get our government shutdown vote today. I guess either they didn't get to it, or maybe they just assumed it was, I don't know, not even worth doing. Either way, not a good situation there on the Senate floor, as again, we are setting records, the wrong kind of records with this government shutdown. Looking back to this election coverage, and again, as results come in and as news breaks, we will continue to cover the news. The UPS plane crash near Louisville, that happened during a takeoff There are injuries reported. Again, we have not gotten a report of a death. And so hopefully those pilots and everyone aboard there made it out safely. We pray for them. Okay, we'll go back to the live coverage here on C-SPAN. Probably my favorite news, but not news channel.
There was some frustration from the start, even among a lot of Republicans, about how she was running this campaign, the issue set that she leaned into. But I just think about a recent debate that she had with Abigail Spanberger. One point that really complicates Winsome Earl Sears' path to winning in some of these suburban areas was on the issue of same-sex marriage. Most people consider that to be a settled issue, and it has been for 10 years. And obviously, in the state of Virginia, that it's overwhelmingly supported. And Winsome Earl Sears, during that campaign, during that debate, made a comment about how she did not believe that firing somebody because they were gay constitutes discrimination. That Spanberger campaign seized on that. That has been featured in advertisements in the home stretch of the campaign. It's been a challenge for Winsome Earl Sears, and it doesn't do her much help in those suburban communities.
What role has the president played here for the Republican candidate for governor?
Well, I think that when you go back to this issue of dissatisfaction, that's been the key challenge for Winsome Earl Sears. And, we've talked about it a few times, so I wanted to actually pull up the number.
Yeah.
Virginia is home to more than 300,000 federal workers. So you take the double barrel of the Trump administration's efforts to slash the federal workforce through DOGE, and then the ongoing government shutdown, which tonight will become the longest in U.S. history. And then you look at polling that shows that a fifth of voters in the state of Virginia said that someone in their household was employed this year by the federal government or worked as a federal contractor. Most of them say that they have been affected by the recent federal cuts. So I think that has been one of the biggest liabilities for Republicans in a state like Virginia, where you can take any state or any local race and try and turn it into a national referendum on the president. Virginia is in the unique position because of its sharing the border with D.C. and because of the composition of its workforce, where you see that effect in real time. It's so much more tangible for the voters of Virginia to feel the impact of the administration because they're living it. So I think that's been the Trump factor, very much so, because otherwise voters in Virginia actually have a fairly more positive outlook on the economy compared to voters in some other states. I just think that on this specific issue and the cuts to the federal government workforce and the shutdown, they are actively living through it.
As Sabrina Siddiqui reminds us, it's election night 2025. It's also day 35 of a government shutdown, and it will become the longest government shutdown in U.S. history tonight. Richard in New York, Democratic caller. Let's turn to you. How did you vote today?
I voted against the socialist.
You vote, and are you a Democrat?
Yes, I'm a registered Democrat. But when it comes, I voted in all the elections available, and usually I vote for the person more than the party, especially when it's for president. But being in New York, as you said before, we're a heavily Democratic city. So I usually vote for the Republicans because I would like to see in my lifetime at least a 55-45 split. I don't think I'll ever see it, but I vote that way with the hopes. But in this case, I voted against the socialists.
So
the young people.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard. The young people? Richard, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, who did you vote for? Did you say?
I did not. I just did not vote for the leader in the polls. I voted for the second option.
Okay. All right. Well, there were three for the mayor's race.
The third one, I like him on the radio. I think he's very charismatic, but he can't run the city.
Okay. And Richard, how have you voted in the past in these previous mayoral races?
I have voted based on the person. I voted for Koch. I voted for Giuliani. I voted one time for Bloomberg. I didn't like the idea that he ran for the third time. The election with Adams, I was not available, so I did not vote in that election.
All right. Richard in New York, calling on our line for Democrats, says he's a Democrat, but often votes for Republicans. Matthew Klein, who is this voter in New York City?
Actually, surprisingly common in New York City. A lot of people in New York City are registered Democrats. The state has closed primaries, so you can't vote in Republican primaries, Democratic primaries, if you're not a member of the party in question. And since so much of New York politics is dominated in these Democratic primaries, we've seen a lot of people who are consider themselves Democrats might be more conservative Democrats by some national standards, and that's part of the reason that Andrew Cuomo managed to get a fairly robust share of the vote in the primary, even though he has been substantially more moderate on a lot of issues, and he has a strong base in the Italian American community. There's still a lot of registered Democrats around there who are willing to consider voting for somebody like that, who may not want to be a part of the vote for a Democratic Socialist. They may not be comfortable with that. And I also think it's important to note, Republicans, this was an opportunity for them. This was an opportunity to put this city in play. And they have competed there in recent years to some extent. And this could have been an opportunity to show that after they're making all those inroads last year in Queens and in the Bronx, that they could put up a formidable candidate. Instead, they re-ran Curtis Sliwa. He is not regarded as a serious candidate. He's polled in a distant third place for most of this campaign. It was a missed opportunity for them.
Sabrina Siddiqui, according to the Associated Press, New York City residents, voter registrations around 5 million, 65% Democrats, 11% Republicans. I mean, Democrats outnumbering Republicans by almost 6-1 in New York City.
So I will keep my banners at the bottom to a minimum. I do realize they're actually updating it with relevant information. They have the poll numbers down there. So we'll keep our banners to a minimum so y'all can see those numbers if they come in. Our chat is open, both in our X space and in our YouTube live space. So if y'all want to chime in on chat, you are certainly welcome to do that. Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear your opinions on what's going on tonight. We also may have a guest coming in pretty soon, so look out for that. Might have a surprise guest pop in and say hello and give some of their opinions on these elections tonight. So stay tuned. This should be an interesting night.
And we were kind of talking even about the kind of campaign he's run, the strategy, the social media strategy. He just pretty much trying to reach every pocket of the city. He was visiting with taxi drivers at LaGuardia Airport the other night. He was going clubbing, trying to appeal to voters there. Sort of the everyday man, everyday mayor. And I think that image has really stuck, and I think it's going to serve him really well tonight, despite concerns that some voters might have about his platform and his agenda, because he is someone who has come across as a fundamentally likable guy. And that's something that voters feel like they haven't seen in a while.
And he's appealed to young voters on social media as well.
He's appealed to young voters on social media. And I think what's been smart about the Mamdani playbook is once he locked down the nomination, he's managed to keep up that appeal to young people by remaining focused on issues like affordability and the cost of rent, the fact that many young people cannot afford to pay rent in New York City. At the same time, moderating on other issues where some of the more centrist Democrats or centrist voters in the city had concerns. I mean,
we're going back to him for some more information. So, Philip, back to you.
Yeah, and it's great to be with you from the ornate Paramount Theatre here in downtown Brooklyn. This is the headquarters for Zoran Mamdani tonight, for the 34-year-old state assembly member here in New York. This is where we expect him to give his speech later tonight, a speech that, of course, he himself hopes will be a victory speech. A little note on timings here in New York City. Voting underway. We still have just about an hour and a half to go of voting. It closes at 9 p.m., started at 6 a.m. this morning, and of course here in New York City there was early voting as well. And it's worth noting that the numbers, the participation in this mayoral election so far, those numbers are very high. The New York City Board of Elections says that 1.7 million New Yorkers have voted so far. That was at 6 p.m. tonight. Now, I mentioned earlier when we spoke, Meg, about the interest in this race, and that I noted that I hadn't seen this much media interest in a mayoral race, and certainly hadn't seen this much media interest in anything maybe outside of one of the big primaries ahead of a presidential contest, or even a rally held by a presidential candidate. We're seeing interest from local media, from national media, also from international media. A lot of journalists here, and among them is Tara Palmieri, who's joining us now here at Zoran Mamdani's election night party. Tara Palmieri, who hosts the Tara Palmieri Show on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, we mentioned the enthusiasm around Zoran Mamdani and also the interest in this election, first of all, those high turnout numbers. Have you noted that enthusiasm here in New York City for Zoran Mamdani, like a lot of people have mentioned over the last few days and weeks, as interest has ramped up?
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen early voting through the roof. My doorbell has been rung many times as people have tried to encourage get out the vote. There's always been this sort of enthusiasm around him. He is seen as a wrecking ball for the establishment. Andrew Cuomo, his rival, is seen as an avatar of the establishment. And he has just brought this enthusiasm for progressive politics back to the city after, I think, an electorate pretty disillusioned by Eric Adams and his tenure, and really hoping for more programs that people in this city who are struggling with affordability can enjoy, so that the city can be for strivers, not just for the hedge fund types, for the Wall Street titans, that people who come here to dream can have a chance. And so you're seeing a lot of young people coming out, and they're the ones who are really hitting the streets and the pavements for Zoran. And I haven't seen anything like this, even from Bill de Blasio's campaign, even though he ran on a very similarly progressive agenda. It's just that Zoran is sort of this once-in-a-generation type of candidate in the way that he speaks to people in his social media posts, his youth. I mean, he's 34 years old, right? This big smile, his viral videos. He's kind of illuminated what it is to be a New Yorker with his, videos of eating halal and talking about what everyday New Yorkers care about. And, in contrast, you have someone like Andrew Cuomo, who really hasn't done much retail politicking at all. He hasn't been shaking hands. He really ran what some would call a Rose Garden campaign after the debate, an event, 2 events a day. You would think that someone who's really fighting for it would work harder, but he's had the establishment behind him. He's had the retail lobby. He's had the donors. And Mamdani's run a grassroots campaign with a lot of really wealthy people working against him.
And Mamdani's somebody who, as we noted from what you said, a lot of people think they know on first name basis, right? He's known as Zoran simply by a lot of voters here in New York City. Now, what are some of the reasons that voters have told you why they are voting for Zoran Mamdani? Now, he is the front runner, of course, to become mayor of New York City tonight. What are some of those main reasons? Do they fit with the program that he has as mayor of New York?
I think it's absolutely about affordability. I mean, he is promising childcare for all, universal childcare. That's very popular in New York City. We're very close to it. There's 3K, pre-K, and that was actually established under Bill de Blasio. Some see him, it's expensive, but they want him to keep extending it, and he may be able to. Universal busing is very popular. City-run groceries, it's never been done before. I mean, they tried to do it in Kansas. It didn't work out too well in Kansas City, but if New York can't do it, he's only suggesting 5. He does say he wants to raise corporate tax rates and the tax rates on wealthy individuals, but that would have to go through the state, and I don't think that Kathy Hochul would do that in an election year. She's the governor, she's up for re-election. But I do think she's going to be supportive of a lot of these progressive ideas, because it was New York City that really helped her squeak out a win against Lee Zeldin in the last race, and she's going to need progressives to help her get over the line in the next election. So she needs Zoran Mamdani, and that's why you saw her campaigning out there with AOC and Bernie Sanders recently, and then there's Kathy Hochul, this kind of center-left Democrat. It was a little odd, but she's clearly aware that she needs this constituency to win, whereas, Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, neighbor, a little bit careful about endorsing. Chuck Schumer still has not endorsed, and I think that just shows you how threatened and worried the Democratic establishment is about a Democratic socialist running a city of 8 million people, which is as large as Virginia, the other election in this tonight. So we'll see how he does. 2 million people coming out. That's a lot. That's huge turnout. I don't think I've heard of that in my entire time covering city politics. I used to be a city hall reporter for the New York Post. Certainly not in the elections that I covered. So we'll see what the numbers are like. Everyone's just looking to see if he pushes over 50%. And if he's able to do that, that means his...
All right, folks. Well, we've got special guest Eric Hecker from deciphering.tv. So happy to see you, buddy.
How you doing today?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Had a stream earlier on the day 35 of government shutdown. Those get shorter and shorter because I just get more and more annoyed with these.
You're
people,
working
right?
harder than the government is.
It's just like, it's just like they're on repeat, and I just don't get it. I mean, we pay these people to negotiate, right? Am I missing something?
No, I mean, I think people keep forgetting that they're public servants. They're supposed to be serving us.
Right.
You know? People often misuse the term like our leaders. They have it completely backwards. We, the people, are the leaders. They are the servants of the public, and they should get their asses in gear and do their job.
They absolutely should. And, it's crazy. Day after day after day, they get on that stage and they're just saying the same shit, Eric. They're just saying the same shit. It's all their fault, not our fault.
I saw somebody did a really good skit that I saw the other day, and it was like, imagine if like other like jobs worked like politics. And it was a homeowner, and he had hired people to paint his house. And there was two people, and they were supposed to be painting the house, but then all of a sudden they're bickering, and they're like, well, I think it should be this color, and I think we should use these brushes. And then they're like, well, since we can't agree, we can't do anything. And the guy was like, whoa, hold on. Like, I already picked the color and, paint it the way that I want it, do what I said. And like, yeah, but we can't work because we don't agree yet. And it was a hilarious skit of just, total dysfunction.
We've all heard these stories, right? I mean, I know locally in our little town, I remember when I was a teenager hearing a story from a friend of the family saying, "Oh, I'm a painter for the government, and this week we had to fill our time, but we didn't have a project, so we just painted this small section of a wall the same color all week. We just sat around and put paint on it once in a while."
It was probably already that color.
Right. And got paid for it. Because I was like, what the fuck? My wife used to work at a DA's office, and this DA's office is getting towards the end of their fiscal year, and they're balancing their sheet, and they have excess funds. Well, instead of reporting that, they went and they bought like 50 air conditioners that they absolutely did not need.
I bet everybody's house needed one, and they probably grew legs.
Right. And see, my wife they know my wife's the square, right? So they're not even going to bring her in on that.
Yeah, you guys didn't get a free air conditioner.
No, we did not. But we did wonder what in the fuck is going on, But that's the government we're dealing with. And that's just on a small local level. Imagine when we're talking billions of dollars and...
Yeah. I've seen this in so many different programs. Like there's no drive for efficiency in government work. It's not like the private sector. If they don't spend all the money, the budget's smaller the next year. Which should be the goal, like to run efficiently and reduce the budget, for we the people not to have to suffer an excess tax burden like that.
Yes.
That should be the goal. If anything, I feel like there should be some sort of a program that in a way, like you get credit, so to say, like stability credits for proven efficiency. That your head should be more on the chopping block if you're never finding a way to reduce the expense of the program, because you can't.
Yeah, that's how it is
Can't
in
function
private
that way.
industry.
Yeah, you just go out
Yeah.
of business. If you're just
Right.
constantly spending and spending and spending, and the spending's not justified, your business will collapse.
Exactly. And at the end of that year, when you have excess funds, you report that correctly. Then if you need more funds the next year, you report why and what the funds are for. Like, this
Right.
is basic shit.
Yep. There's
that
a way
they're
to
just
qualify it.
not, Yeah, they're just not
Yep.
doing.
Yeah, right. So that the people that can prove efficiency and reduce their budgets, then if they ask for more funds because they're like, hey, this is what I need, then there could be this qualifying aspect that's like, well, these guys have proven that they do work efficiently. They have reduced their budget before. So it stands to reason that if these folks say that they need more money because of something, well, then they should get like front of the line privileges compared to the other folks that are just, constantly just like, I don't understand why we always need more money. And, I know that we live in Alaska and we can't justify all the air conditioners that we just bought, but we had to spend it on something.
We need that. What if we need it for next year? You ask for it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Novel approach. All right. Well, speaking so we're covering the elections tonight. Are there any of these elections you're paying special attention to or that you care about?
Not one. This is like at this stage of the game. I mean, I've often said that the purpose of the political parties at this point, right? Democrat, Republican, is to get 50% of the people. To get 100% of the people to complain about 50% of the problem, right? If you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican and I choose my side, then both of us have actually been controlled, and I'm pointing fingers at your side and you're pointing fingers at my side, and we're both losing. I mean, in our whole lives, Gabe, has there ever been, any politicians that weren't Democrats or Republicans in the hierarchy, so to say? Every president for many decades now has been either a Democrat or a Republican. So the way I look at it is you and I can simply say they are screwing it up always. Democrats and Republicans are completely both responsible for all of our woes.
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, I do remember Perot. Remember Ross Perot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, what an amazing thing that would have been if he would have won.
Yeah.
For our budget. I mean, he could you imagine what our debt and budget might look like today if he would have actually won? Holy cow.
Yeah, it's so much of the world that we live in is a big scam. I mean, look at how the fact that we have politicians that are allowed to front run the markets because they're allowed to invest in the stuff that they're talking about secretly. The fact that our politicians make $150,000 a year, but in 4 years they're multi-millionaires. Oh, it's just the weirdest thing that the stocks that I invest in get a 250% return year over year.
Yes. Yes.
It's a total con job.
Pretty strange how that works.
How about the fact that we're only actively in the middle of our third central banking system in our country's history, but it's the first one that came without an expiration date.
Wow.
Right? I mean, there's so many simple things that like we could just, if we just backed it out, right? If we just got rid of the Federal Reserve and put things back to the way that they were prior, because again, we've only had 3 central banks. There were complete huge periods of time where we operated without them, whereas the founding fathers had required. The monies were supposed to be controlled by the Congress. Only Congress should be able to print money. Congress is supposed to be in charge of it. And all of the profits that the banks make should be going into the Congress and the U.S. government's account for the people. So this would be like similar to how the state of Alaska has, the PFD, the Permanent Fund Dividend, right? Effectively,
That's
the
where
state,
you like get paid to live there, basically.
right? The whole country should be run that way, right? That we should be a lucrative, like collective business, and those profits go back into the people, not the banks and the corporations that are raping
now,
us.
sir, you sound like Andrew Yang. I mean,
I don't know him.
You don't know Andrew Yang, the universal income guy?
No.
He ran for president.
We can, call it whatever you want. Universal income, permanent fund dividend. Either way, you and I are paying taxes, right?
Yes.
That's investing,
That's
right? We're
sure.
investing into a company that you
never
don't
looked at
get
it
a
that
return
way.
on your investment.
Yeah.
Right. If any other stocks or anything that you traded, right? Like imagine that you invested in the Dow Jones, and every year they're like, just guess what? You don't get any money, but you have to give us more. You like, this is the crappiest investment ever. So,
but I've always thought of taxes as like, that's why I have roads. That's why I have national parks. That's why
it didn't used to be that way either, because prior to taxation in 1913, we still had parks and we still had roads, but the world operated differently. It used to be that rich people paid for all of those things, and then if you had a product, right, and you wanted to build a factory, you would find a place where the factory is at, and you'd have to build a road from your factory to the rest of the world, and that would be incorporated into the expense of you putting that product to market, and then the price of the product would reflect it accordingly, and you had to take care of all of that. So when
the government just handles the regulation side.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it used to happen in the private sector, and we paid for it in the products that we purchased. But then those guys figured out, well, hold on a second. If we can make people get taxed and we can put this burden on their shoulders, they would absolve themselves of that. Oh, lo and behold, they never reduced the prices on anything.
No.
People failed to realize too that when taxation first came out, it was rolled out that only the rich were getting taxed.
And wasn't it supposed to be temporary?
Absolutely. It was supposed to be temporary, and it was supposed to be just the wealthy. So all the poor people didn't give a damn. They were like, yeah, absolutely. Tax the rich. But then the rich that lobbied, that made the creature for Jekyll Island be forced upon us and killed all the people on the Titanic that were against it. Then it's the old bait and switch, and they started to roll it into the other direction. And now, for the most part, the middle class gets taxed, the lower class does not. And don't even get me started about the rich not carrying their burden in taxation anymore, and all the sweetheart deals that corporations get. I mean, the oil industry is mostly subsidized and tax free for all practical purposes.
It's pretty incredible when you find out GE, pays less than Bob down the road in taxes because they built a couple windmills. It's pretty amazing. It's borderline fraudulent.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing I found out today, Donald Trump Jr. His net worth was about $50 million. He bought some shares, bunch of shares, in a drone company. And then became a board member on the drone company. And then the drone company, all of a sudden, stock went from negative to double digits and got a contract with the United States Army.
Oh.
And guess what Donald Trump Jr.'s net worth is right now?
Probably quadrupled. And then he probably sold, cut and run, and then the company tanked.
Over $500 million.
There you go.
No, and the company has a contract with the Army right now.
Yeah.
But I wonder, all those drones in Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
the company are American-made drones.
Uh-huh. Do you remember back when drones first came out as a tech and was, weapons of war in foreign lands, and the whole regulation was that drones were illegal to be flown in the United States because they're weapons of war that'll only be used in foreign countries. So you have nothing to worry about. It's funny how that changed.
No.
Yeah, when drones first came out, they were weapons of war to be used in foreign lands only, because people were very uncomfortable with the idea of these things flying over them.
Right.
And then,
but
boom,
as a creator,
goalpost gets moved.
As a creator, they're amazing. I mean, my
sure.
intro video is like drone shots of cities, and it's like you're not getting that kind of footage anywhere else.
Understood. How long has that been? How long has that tech been around before we even knew about it? And that kind of footage,
long. So long. Remember the conspiracy theory of the bird drones?
Oh yeah, birds aren't real.
Everybody that thought that was, and then recently, within the last couple of years, Luna released that bird drone prototype that I can't remember if it was Boeing or Lockheed made. I got it put away somewhere, but the drone that was supposed to shoot out of a sub and looked like a bird from the land.
Oh, the Cormorant.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's a program, the Cormorant. Yeah. So like again, and all these people talk about USOs and we don't have that tech. And it's like, if we know of the Cormorant program right now, and they're like, oh, it's in research and development. Yeah. If that's what they're saying publicly, that means that it's already like it's obsolete for the military, and it had already been going on for decades.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just saw Sean Ryan had some podcast where he had some dude bring some sort of vertical takeoff drone to his property.
Okay.
And I was dying laughing because it looked exactly like what the Lockheed Martin submersible vehicle that they were pumping like 6 months beforehand. So it's like, I'm sorry, but to me, this is all the same tech that they're covering up. So the one that Sean Ryan had, it's almost like this thing can be brought by trailer, brought to your backyard, and then all of a sudden the thing just pivots up on a 45-degree angle and launches.
Oh, hold on. We've got breaking news.
We've
got a winner. Looks like Abigail Spanberger, Democrat, Virginia, has won. Boy, they're calling that early. Must have been up by a significant margin to win there. Let's hear what they have to say for a moment about Abigail, because I know nothing about her.
And then we're also going to be waiting to see what happens in New York City, where you have Zohran Mamdani, who's again openly been running as a socialist, not shying away from progressive issues, the kind of promises that he's made, very much standing in contrast to a much more carefully choreographed campaign by Spanberger. And so I think that's really going to be a really important question coming out of tonight, is which path do Democrats take, and a night that I think many of them feel good about, but still does not resolve the broader issues about or the broader question of what the Democratic Party's identity looks like moving forward.
All right, it's 8 p.m. Eastern time here on the East Coast. It's election
the Democrats' identity.
The check mark is next to Abigail Spanberger's name.
There it is, folks. We've got a winner in Virginia.
With the win.
Either way, I think it's kind of cool because I think it's the first female governor of Virginia.
Votes come in, and we'll
I was looking at the image and I wasn't sure if it was just somebody identifying as a woman now, grew their hair out.
I cannot comment on that.
I'm not judging. So don't ask, don't tell governorship is my understanding. Ooh, I'm getting weird audio stuff from you.
Oh, hold on a moment.
Yeah, I'm getting weird stuff on you. Gabe has got this. He's going to crush it. Unlike the government, Gabe is working. Much like the government. He's doing it for free.
Yeah, I get some feedback on that line if I ding it wrong or something. So I think I'm going to need a new cable or maybe
that
check
happens.
that connection. But yeah, I'll get that feedback. It sucks because it gets so loud and annoying. Yeah, what I was going to say is that I don't care if you want to be a woman or a man or whatever. I'm just not okay with the sports competition stuff. I just don't think that's cool. Like I'm
so
down
game
with
for
that.
live your life, do what you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. But if my daughter's on a swim team and there's some dude that's
Swear
whooping
to
ass,
God.
it's like, come on.
It's
Because
crazy.
it's, to me, it's like the opposite. People say like women's rights, and it's like, well,
You're letting some
how
dude.
about I identify as a chick and I just start whooping everyone in the boxing ring?
Right. And
Right?
some of them do that, Eric. Some of them have
Right?
gone into MMA fighting and literally beat up women.
Right. And to me, that's just lunacy. And
Yeah.
It's
So
absurd.
live your life, do what you want to do. But if you want to compete, to me, like, it's just unfair. Like, it's
Have the
biologically
tranny Olympics
unfair.
for all I care.
Right.
Just
Sure. There you
make
go.
it another category, right? If you want to be male or female by birth and stuff like that and compete accordingly, so be it. If you want to deviate out of that category, it's the ultimate mixed martial arts at that point.
Yes. Well, but I mean, it's just, that's the stuff I'm not down with. But everything else, fine. Whatever.
Call it open class. If you don't want to align to your birth gender, and you want to be in a different class, we'll just call it open class, and anybody can go in there, male, whatever you want to call yourself. So be it. But you don't get to muddy the waters of the other folks that are perfectly content with who they are, how they identify. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and I can't remember the name of the swimmer. If you Googled it, like if you're listening to us and you want to know the show, if you Googled it, you could find it. She was a swimmer.
I think her name was
Joe Rogan
Butch.
show. She was on the Joe Rogan show, and she was talking about how this male that identified as a woman came in and almost took the trophy from her, and she's like a world renowned swimmer. And this dink came in and almost took it from her just because he's a man. I mean, it's just different. It's just different.
Makes me think of race car driving. I used to do tons of car racing back in the day. When you go to a quarter-mile track, like you actually have to put your car in a class, and you can self-identify. But basically, like if I showed up to the track and I was like, listen, I'm running a 13-second car, that's what I do in the quarter mile. They'll put you in a class with people that are, similar to your numbers. If you go down the track and you run a 9-second quarter mile, you lose. Right? Yes. The other guy could do 13 seconds and you run 9 seconds. And they're like, guy, you're a lying scumbag that's in the wrong class. You lost.
Right.
So they're breaking class ranks and competing illegally is the way I look at it. It's just cheating. It's just standard cheating. Exactly. It's cheating. I know the definition.
Yeah, call it what it is.
Yeah, if you go to the track and you're like, I got a 6-cylinder under the hood, but it's like, no, it's a V12. It's like, you fucking lying fuck.
Turbocharged. Okay, looks like we got some action at the Mondani deal. Let's see if this is interesting.
Oh boy, this is the New York guy?
Yeah. Oh, no, we can't hear the audio. So
That's
I know
only
that
thing that I've actually been paying attention to because it drives me up the wall. Having been in New York during 9/11, and this fucking lunatic is running for office, like under the I hate New York, go fuck yourselves, all hail Muhammad. Like the fact that this is going on in New York blows my mind.
You think so? You think he's like an extremist, like he wants the caliphate and all that?
Dude, from the limited amount of time that I spend in checking out the news, that
Yeah.
seems to be heir apparent. It's
Mm,
mind numbing that this
yeah.
guy is. I mean, I've caught headlines and things like that where he's like, New York deserved what they got and things to that effect.
What
I
the
saw some,
fuck?
right, like
He said that?
this dude has said wild stuff. He said something about he's concerned, like that Muslims, like he's concerned that Muslims get too much like blowback in New York for being Muslims, and it's like harder on them than 9/11 was on New York. Like I'm totally butchering quotes, but this dude has said off the wall stuff. Like
Well, what?
he's more concerned, like, and he said something like how Muslims are treated because of 9/11 is worse than what Muslims did on 9/11 and things to that effect.
Well, being from that region, what do you think's going on? Why are people voting for him? I mean, where's the popularity coming from? It seems like New York City.
It's called illegal immigration, Gabe.
You think so?
If you're gonna bus in illegal immigrant Muslims for years and basically fill the demograph with the voters that you need, I mean, this is where we get the big picture problem, and this seems to be happening all over the country, is that Democrats
Really?
are for illegal immigration because they're flooding the zones that they need to get voters.
You think so?
That's what it
I
seems
know
to be going on.
I know it's something I've heard a lot of, right? That like the Democrats think those that come in through south of the border are likely to vote for them because of the policies and things. I've heard that, like, God, decades almost, I swear.
Right, and if you pay attention to where they're busing them,
So they actually bus them. They're actually putting them on
it's like
buses, sending them to, and I know
letting
I've
them in
heard
the
that
country.
too.
This would be like the old real estate term would be like what they call blockbusting.
Mm.
If there's a white neighborhood, they would work very hard, and I'm not picking sides on this. I'm talking about historical stuff. This was a real estate practice back in the day
Do you mean
developers took
redlining?
advantage of. So, like, if there was a white community, they would press to get somebody of color or ethnicity in that location. It was called blockbusting because
Okay.
once one ethnic person moved in, then they called it white flight. And then what
then
wind
everybody
up
would take
happening
off.
is so the developers would promote this because then they would know that they could manipulate markets and profits could be
Wow.
reaped.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is what's now happening with illegal immigration and voting. It's like a modern form of blockbusting, but for whole communities. And it's a way for
So
developers to front run the profits of the area. And there's dynamics that, other people, oftentimes they say, the average mortgage payer is very
Right.
focused on, they got to go to work, they got to pay their
Whatever,
mortgage,
yeah.
they watch football to distract themselves. They're not paying attention to
My
these
life.
cycles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, a lot of people aren't paying attention to these things, but there are developers, there are profiteers, and the old term was carpetbaggers. Like, there are people
Mhm.
that are blatantly doing these things. They're not your
Jeez.
average mortgage payers. These are market manipulators
Yeah.
that don't give a flying fuck about any of the communities. They don't care about any of the races at all. It's about dollars. It's about money. They will fuck over white people. They'll fuck over black people. They don't care about Democrats or Republicans at all, actually.
Well,
But they
what-
will wield them all as weapons of war against we, the people, for their personal gain.
What do you think is the benefit to one of these or a group of these people to having him run New York City? You think maybe he just took some deals on the back end and They're like,
You
hey,
know,
you do XYZ and we'll get you
I
in there.
I think there is a lot to be said for controlling chaos, and he would provide a lot of chaos if he was to win that election.
Yeah, people are already getting upset.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's so much chaos that could be created from him being voted in, and that's when the market manipulators show up. It's
right.
you know, it's
Boy,
it's
it's like I can almost foresee a Trump wanting to send federal troops into New York City and Mamdani. You know, I can already see the face
Yep.
off. Like,
which I don't like this whole idea of troops on the ground, and this is, but and then people will say, well, it's the appropriate response that Trump does that, and it's like, well, is this
I've never done
Hegelian
it before.
Is it Hegelian dialectic? Are they
Right.
like people will think that it's a response and that they're on different teams? Well, what if it's problem, reaction, solution, thesis, antithesis, synthesis? What if they're still actually colluding? Right? If the whole point of being able to get boots on the ground is that you first set up these people to be the bad decision that occurs
Yeah.
anyhow.
Yeah.
So this is where we, the people, the average mortgage payers, need to be scared, because these market manipulators and profiteers could simply just be playing both sides of the field to our detriment. As
Right.
if the Democrats and Republicans are not working together to cause the chaos.
They
You
can
know?
ride that
Maybe they're like,
chaos
we
wave to
we
profits.
can't get the troops in there to kick everybody's asses and take control until we have a reason. So here's what we'll
Right.
do. We'll put that scumbag that's pro fucking flying Muslim terrorist planes into the buildings, and boy, will that cause a problem.
Jesus. Yeah, they ride that chaos in the
Mhm.
profits in
Right.
the profit city, because they know what's going to happen. They know what's going on,
Uh-huh.
because they're manipulating it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and then the corporations, forget about it. The corporations invest in both sides of the aisle all day long. They don't actually pick sides. The big corporations will invest $10 million in the Republican side. They'll invest $10 million in the Democrat side. It's called hedging your bets.
Right. Yeah.
As if they only want to have influence in one side of the aisle. So these guys are investing in both sides, just like businessmen, and they're manipulating markets and hedging their bets and causing the chaos that we, the people, the average mortgage payer, are suffering under these influences. I mean, it used to be illegal for these corporations to invest the monies that they invest now.
Yeah.
How about we roll
Yeah.
that back?
Yeah. Good luck with that. Not with
Right?
the Supreme Court. That's not going to happen. All right. So we got Abigail Spanberger, Virginia governor now. We've got, I think what a lot of people are waiting on is that Mamdani one, and it's about 8:15 on the East Coast. So I would imagine we'll start seeing numbers soon. Let me check. I do have a campaign watch.
I can honestly say that if that guy became the mayor of New York, that
Yeah.
I would probably not fly into those airports anymore.
Oh no. Well, did you see what happened today with the UPS plane?
I did.
Jeez. And that was on takeoff.
Yep.
Um,
Totally full of fuel. Did you see where it crashed, which was not like a field?
no, yeah, that's
It crashed into a
huge.
very developed neighborhood.
Yes, huge explosion on the impact. I mean, crazy. And then Jeremy McGowan came out and said that even though that didn't used to be a Boeing plane, Boeing actually took over development of that aircraft. So that's actually more than likely yet another Boeing aircraft that we've seen crash for no real good reason.
What are the good reasons for planes to crash, Gabe? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I just mean it's like, well, the first ones, it was the software tilting the the flap down, so they were sitting there
Yeah.
fighting the damn software the whole time. I mean,
Yeah.
what are they doing over there?
Nothing like
You know,
human beings having to fight against the AI of the flight controls.
Can you imagine what that pilot must have been going through? I mean, his head just
Yeah. It's just when you just
how
wish you had an eject.
insane.
The only,
Yeah.
the
Open
only
the
thing that
pod
I
bay
can think
doors,
of-
Hal.
I was very relieved when I found out that it was a cargo flight versus a passenger plane, and then I was saddened when I saw that it's not like it landed in the water and blew up or into a field and blew up. But when I saw the terrain for where it did crash, I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, that sucks."
Yeah. Yeah. It's looking at some aerial footage, and it did not look good. Okay, let's take 5 and let's let these folks chat it up for a minute. I'm gonna run to the restroom and
You got it.
we'll listen to what C-SPAN has to say about the election here. Again, we had Spanberger win, and the results on everything else is still up. I know Prop 50 is a big one as well, so we'll keep an eye on that for you folks too. All right, we'll be back in about 5.
To see a good night for the Democrats. The question is how good it's going to be for them. That's going to show what's going to be up in the midterms. On the other end, as a Republican, I see that if Mamdani is going to win, that might be a good ticket for the Republicans to use in the midterm and even in 2028, using him, showing how it's going to look when a lot of people might associate him with the Democratic Party, when we see like Hakeem Jeffries and others try to distance from him. This is my view.
Yeah,
in
let's.
one word.
Yeah, Caller, let's take those points this evening, because it's something that we've been talking about as well. Is what does the party do if Zohran Mamdani wins the New York City mayoral race? We'll get to that in just a minute. We're also tracking what's happening in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. As we told you earlier, Abigail Spanberger was called the victor in the governor's race there by the Associated Press. And there are her headquarters on your screen in the capital of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. If we see the candidate come out, we're going to bring you her remarks this evening. I'll be bringing you the candidates' remarks from all of these key contests tonight live. If we miss any of them, you can find them on our website at cspan.org. That's all part of our coverage. And you can see on the stage, folks are lining up behind the podium. So we expect then to see this candidate fairly shortly. While we wait, though, let's go to Mike in Bessemer City, North Carolina, Republican. Mike, we'll hear your thoughts.
Well, I'm near Virginia, and it's this Democrat socialist is like a cancer. You see how it started in Washington, D.C., and it spread into Virginia. I just pray to God it's not going to go much farther south like it is up in Raleigh, Durham, in our area. But, the New York, the Mamdani thing, they talk about, he shifted his ideas from defund the police. His first thing is what he's going to be if he is mayor. He's going to do exactly defund the police, do away with misdemeanor crimes, close prisons. He's going to do that. And there's no such thing no more as a moderate Democrat. Everybody trying to say Mikey Sherrill and Spanberger are moderate. No. The closest thing to a moderate the Democrats has got, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this, is John Fetterman. But they are all following in the AOC, Mamdani, the squad thing. That's all it is.
All right, Mike. Well, Sabrina Siddiqui, what do you think Abigail Spanberger would say to that caller, saying that she's not really a moderate?
Well, I think she went back to differ.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the point I was making earlier, where Spanberger herself was asked about Zohran Mamdani, and she said something like, people want Democrats to be bold and ambitious, but voters don't want us to lie to them, which was effectively her way of saying that Mamdani is making a lot of promises that he's not going to be able to keep. So that's one side of the equation for Democrats. I do think that Republicans have made it very clear, and certainly President Trump has, that they see Mamdani as almost the perfect foil as they think about what their messaging is going to look like in midterms. But it's a playbook we've seen before. I mean, they did it with AOC and some of the other squad members. I think for Democrats, it's really going to be about standing up the right candidates and the right candidates in the right places. And so if you have a good night for both Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill on the same night that you have a good night for Zohran Mamdani, I think it demonstrates that it's not so black and white. It's not going to be as simple as Republicans might like to simply make Zohran Mamdani the face of the Democratic Party and use him as a cudgel, ignoring the other candidates, the more centrist candidates that Democrats are going to continue to run across the country.
And at the Spanberger headquarters in Richmond, Virginia, you can see the people just keep piling up on the stage behind the podium. Folks continue to line up there waiting for Abigail Spanberger to come out and address her supporters. Sabrina Siddiqui, have you been at headquarters, election headquarters before? And what's it like in the room? Who are the folks that get to stand behind the candidate?
Well, you know, a lot of the supporters, the day one supporters from the campaign, you know, donors, family members, people who've been out there canvassing, and community members, often, you know, there's a lot of energy from those groups inside the room. I mean, I haven't been to Spanberger's headquarters, of course, but I've been to many election night rallies. And, you know, it's just, I think, you know, when the energy is on your side, it feels much bigger than about any one race. And I'm sure that's the sentiment over there in Virginia today, that this is about something bigger than Virginia. Our, you know, elections, even if the candidates are trying to run them locally, politics has just become inescapably national in today's day and age. And so I'm sure that there is a lot of, you know, feeling within that room about the state of the country, the direction of the country, and this being a key moment in Democrats trying to stand up to and fight back against the Trump administration. Again, really going to be interested in that margin to see just how good of a night it is for Democrats, but I'm sure the energy in that room is indicative of everything that they've been trying to achieve.
All right. Well, we'll continue to watch the Spanberger headquarters here in Virginia. And when the candidate comes out, we'll bring you live coverage of that. Let's go to New York, though, because joining us from New York One Spectrum headquarters is Courtney Gross, who's a political reporter for New York Spectrum One. Give us the latest on the mayoral race there.
So this has been a nationally, in fact, internationally watched contest where you have three men facing off. Obviously, there's Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic candidate here, who's a Democratic socialist. He's 34 years old. He doesn't have that much government experience. In fact, he won his assembly seat just a couple of years ago. But polling has shown him with a double-digit lead. Now, he faces off against the former governor who resigned in disgrace a number of years ago, Andrew Cuomo, and he has been behind Zohran Mamdani in the polls. In fact, he lost the primary election to him, but has decided to continue on in this race on an independent line. And then, of course, you have Curtis Sliwa, who is on the Republican line in this contest. He has been polling pretty low, and most people do not think that he could pull this contest out. But that's generally the lay of the land, is Mamdani getting all of this international, national attention, really just taken off as somewhat of a political star in which people on a national level are wondering whether or not he is the future of the Democratic Party.
We are about 35 minutes away from the polls closing in New York City. Courtney Gross, what will you be watching for?
So we're a local news station here. We're certainly going to be watching where the vote is coming in. Already, we are seeing historic turnout here in New York City in the 5 boroughs, so much so that we are most likely going to be hitting 2 million voters heading out to the polls, which is something we haven't really seen since David Dinkins faced off against Rudy Giuliani in the early 1990s. So we're going to be taking a look at where that vote is coming in. Is Zohran Mamdani energizing a new group of voters? Obviously, people who are very young, who may not have participated in a mayoral contest before. That's going to be specifically what we're keeping a very close eye on here at New York One.
Courtney Gross, where does his support come from?
So most of his support has come from young people, but Zohran Mamdani, if he is indeed elected mayor of New York City, he will be the youngest mayor. So he is really tapping into a lot of the young energy we're seeing in New York City. In fact, we were doing an analysis of the number of people who voted early. We have 9 days of early voting here. in the 5 boroughs. And of those people who cast ballots, about 735,000 people who cast ballots early, 150,000 of them were people who had never voted in a mayoral contest before, people who had registered to vote after our last mayoral contest. So he's really tapping into something here. New energy, people who want to participate perhaps that they haven't before. And some of that has to do, I think, with what's happening in Washington, obviously, and in the White House. We are a democratically enrolled city here. Democrats outnumber Republicans here 6-1, and there's a lot of sentiment that is against the White House, against the Trump administration. And Mamdani is seeing an opening there, seeing a vacuum, and he's tapping into that anger, tapping into that energy.
All right, Courtney Gross is a political reporter with Spectrum News, New York 1. Thank you for that insight tonight.
Of course.
We'll be bringing Spectrum New York 1 coverage to you later on this evening. They'll be digging into the results of that New York City mayoral race. The polls closing at 9 p.m. Eastern time in the nation's largest city. We're also watching tonight in Virginia at the Richmond headquarters for Abigail Spanberger. The sign on the podium just went up. Governor-elect Spanberger. The Associated Press giving her the check mark tonight. She has been declared the winner. With 53% of the vote in right now, her margin is 54.8% to 45%. We expect that to change as the votes continue to come in the state of Virginia. You can see her supporters all lined up there behind her on the podium, the crowd in front of her, and we expect to see Abigail Spanberger any moment. Joe in Rockville Center, New York, Democratic caller. Joe, we'll hear from you.
Hello?
Hey, Joe, your thoughts tonight on election night 2025.
So many. Thank you for this forum. This forum is great for people like us that feel like we don't have a voice anymore. First of all, I'd like to say that there is no Republican Party anymore. This is the MAGA Party. Everyone who's elected on that forum seems to just echo what Trump says and what he wants them to say. Even in local elections, I'm in Rockville Center on Long Island, and we have a local election going on right here. And it's MAGA against other people with freedom for ideas. And I just don't understand how these calls keep coming in and keep backing him after what they see is happening in our country, how our democracy is being eroded.
All right. Joe there, his thoughts in New York. I'm going to jump in because we have a winner declared by the Associated Press in the lieutenant governor's race in Virginia. Ghazala Hashmi is with 55% of the vote in. Victor tonight over the Republican John Reed. Matthew Klein, your reaction to what you're seeing here?
Not a huge surprise, just because we knew that the lieutenant governor's race was probably going to end up going the same way as the governor's race. That seems to have happened tonight. Hashmi's running a little bit behind Spanberger, but she's obviously still the winner.
Mamdani, Hashmi.
Not the most exciting position. It never is in these states, but it is often
interesting
for political candidates. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, the sitting lieutenant governor, was of course.
Oh, you're muted, buddy.
So it's reasonable to expect that
you muted in StreamYard, I think.
The Democratic nominee in a couple of years, or certainly at least vie for the position. All eyes now on the attorney general's
Here, hold on.
race,
I think I can undo it.
Yet, although I must say,
okay, now just talk.
I was just saying that that last guy was from Rockville Center, Long Island, a town I'm very familiar with.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, I did tons of work over there. Nice town, good pizza.
So Spanberger was a former CIA operative. Did not know that.
Me neither.
Democrat.
It's always good to have former CIA in politics.
Yeah, why not, right? At least they know who to call.
Right?
You'd have a split ticket outcome here in Virginia.
Totally. And
do you remember when Jesse Ventura became governor of whatever state that he was governor of, and he stated that the first thing that happened, he was approached by dudes that were like in the administration, but were like, we're also CIA. Do what we say.
Was basically making the case, hey, if Abigail Spanberger can this guy,
no.
Yeah, he spoke about that. Yeah, he said as soon as he showed up as governor that there were, infiltrators that were in the administration and basically like self-identified as like we're CIA and do what we say. And he was like, what the fuck is this?
Wow. Fuck, that is so crazy. I mean, they are everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah. Unless we forget, where the birthplace of the CIA was post World War II. OSS turned into the CIA, had a whole bunch of Operation Paperclip Nazis come in, and all of a sudden we
Right.
got this new organization, the CIA.
Yep. Yep. And
The one that JFK said that he wanted to break into 1,000 pieces.
and then he ended up dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. That organization, the one
That one.
they get this brainwashing and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Wow.
You just had me thinking when we were off air here.
Mhm.
Take a wild guess. Like, I don't vote now for my own personal reasons because it's a debacle on so many levels. But I mean, you and I have been engaging for a bit. Who do you think the last person is that I voted for president?
For president?
Or president of the United States? Who's the last person that I actually voted for?
John McCain?
Exact opposite.
Barack Obama.
Yep.
Yeah.
I voted for Barack Obama because at the time I was thinking that McCain is absolutely part of the entrenched system. And that when I looked at the option of McCain or Barack Obama, looking at like, well, who the hell is this Barack Obama guy? I have no idea. But if I have to choose one of these people to get voted in and kick the shins of the people that helped get him in there, because the way I look at it is, you can't get into that position without assistance from a faction. And I just thought, which one of these two guys might get into office and turn around and kick the shins of the faction that got him there? So I went with Barack Obama, and boy, that didn't really work out as planned.
No. They gave him the talk too, apparently, because kept Guantanamo open, didn't make any changes in Wall Street, killed more people with drones than any president at that point.
Yep.
I think more par for the course.
Yeah, I think he was a big scam from the jump, and I missed it.
Yeah,
not that I think, again, this is why I don't vote anymore, because it's like, in reality, if I had voted for McCain, would everything have been awesome? No, hell no. We just would have got the same debacle, just delivered by a different faction.
Right. And that's why you need
we would have had McCain having the record for drone strikes. That would have been the difference,
Yeah, and for people trying to keep their fingers on the pulse of what is actually going on, I think it's important to realize if we're doing something under Republican president and Democrat president, like if both sides are like, yep, that's what we're doing, that should warrant some extra investigation. Like this Venezuela thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So who is this? This looks like Spanberger giving her victory speech here. We'll wait for the crowd noise to die down. They love her. Yada yada yada. So this was again an ex-CIA employee in Virginia. Boy,
any idea what the role was in the CIA?
I'll have to look into that. But
I wonder. They'll say analyst. It was analyst.
It's all of them, right?
Virginia's
a good place.
Worked in filing.
CIA. Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's hear what Miss Spanberger has to say here. Miss? I don't know.
Mr. Miss?
Mr. Miss?
My fellow Virginians.
Woo!
Tonight, we sent
a message. We sent a message to every corner of the Commonwealth, a message to our neighbors and our fellow Americans across the country. We sent a message to the whole world that in 2025, Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship. We chose our Commonwealth over chaos. You all chose leadership that will focus relentlessly on what matters most: lowering costs, keeping our communities safe, and strengthening our economy for every Virginian. Leadership that will focus on problem solving, not stoking division. We chose leadership that will always put Virginia first. And Virginia, I cannot wait to get to work for you. Tonight we turned a page. We turned that page by listening to our neighbors, focusing on practical results, laying out a clear agenda, and leading with decency and determination. To everyone who helped us achieve this win, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I thank you for the trust that you have placed in me, and it is the honor of my lifetime to be elected the 75th governor of the Commonwealth. I would like to thank my opponent for a hard-fought race, the Lieutenant Governor's story, her military service, and her years of service here in Virginia deserve our respect and our gratitude, and I ask that you join me in wishing
Wow, her work for the CIA is actually kind of impressive. So it says CIA operations officer, case officer from 06 to 2014, the clandestine track that recruits and runs human sources overseas. Public interviews and bios say her cases focus on counterterrorism and nuclear proliferation issues, with overseas postings including Europe. Most specifics remain classified.
I'm just going to say it. I feel like if you've worked for the CIA or any intelligence agency, that should disqualify you from public office.
Oh, wow. You think so, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just there's too much nefarious connections. There's too much potential for wrong. And that can be a decision that people make in their lives. That's my opinion. I mean, you know, the fact that most people don't even know how many intelligence agencies we have. You know, it's not simply the CIA, the DIA, the NSA. There's a lot more to this dilemma. I mean, for how many decades did we have the NSA and most people didn't even know about it? It was so secret.
Right. And let's not forget the private contractors.
Exactly. So there's just
private contractor spies too.
Yes, exactly. Like what happens with the government level stuff, I would say pales in comparison to what Eisenhower warned us about. You know, beware the military industrial complex. as if Raytheon doesn't have SWAT teams and espionage teams and sniping the people that work in other companies that are going to profit more than them. Do we get to FOIA Raytheon's budget for counter-espionage, counterintelligence? No, we don't. Do we get to find out that they're also assassinating people because it's better for their bottom line than to let some other faction come out with something?
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem.
Right. So then now we have someone like this politician that's affiliated with these types of programs. So to me, I would say that for the best interest of we the people, if you were affiliated with an intelligence agency, that should be a disqualifying factor for running for public office. That's my opinion.
And there's been a lot of them. Bush, he ran the CIA, and he got in there. And
so my research, what I've researched was that Ronald Reagan was completely against all of those things similar to Kennedy. But then all of a sudden, he was getting a lot of blowback, and they said, "You're never going to win unless you allow this running mate, this George Senior Bush, run with you." And he was against it. Okay, but lo and behold, he became forced to have George Senior run with him as vice president. Then Reagan becomes president, and then all of a sudden there's an assassination attempt on Reagan, which would make George Sr. president sooner than what he actually got voted in for. I would suggest that was a coordinated effort by George Sr. with the factions he was affiliated with, which goes right back to what I was saying before. If you're affiliated with these agencies, it should be a disqualifying factor. George Sr. being a perfect example. He tried to get his eye on the prize a little bit prematurely.
Yeah. Well, I sat down with the wife last night and watched this documentary on Netflix called The White House Effect. Just came out. It was very well done. I think documentaries where there's not a ton of narration, and then this documentary, I don't think there was any narration. It was just footage showing all of the kind of deals that have been made since Bush Sr. on climate change. And it got into it a little bit before then too, but it was kind of like there was this consensus, like, yes, climate change is a thing. Humans are absolutely impacting it by putting all this stuff into the air. Bush jumped on the bandwagon saying, oh yeah, climate change. I'm a Republican, but climate change is bipartisan. This is something, the science is out. We all know we can do better. And then all of a sudden, the oil execs got their mittens on it, and before you know it, we're not doing shit on the climate because the economy, and they even said this, they were quoted in interviews saying this, the economy is more important, right? Like we can, right now the focus needs to be on the economy. It shouldn't be on fixing the climate, basically kind of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, I mean, did you see that Bill Gates recently retracted what he was saying about global warming and climate change and all that stuff? Yeah, just this past week, he's now retracted. He said he was wrong. That climate change wasn't
about climate change?
Yep.
So what does he say now? It's just natural?
He more or less just said he was wrong. So does he refund all the profits that he made by pumping it for all these years?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty big deal to just reverse your position on.
Yeah, oops.
Yeah, right. Especially
what's next? Fauci's going to come out and be like, "Yeah, I was my bad. I was wrong about the COVID thing." And yeah, I mean,
yeah. Well, he should.
Yeah,
but he won't.
Correct. Yeah, he's not at that. We have to wait 2 more decades for Fauci to say, "Oh yeah, my bad."
Yeah,
oh, oops. Yeah, it was gain of function that we did. I goofed.
Yeah, the whole thing. just so dirty. The whole thing's just so dirty on so many levels. And like
Back to corruption and conspiracy.
Yeah.
Did you know that there was an assassination attempt on President Carter?
No, I didn't know that.
This is great. So many people don't know this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was it back in the late 70s that Carter became president?
Okay.
Right. So there was an assassination attempt on Carter. There was 2 assailants. So this is not too many years after JFK, right? JFK.
Okay.
Do you remember who they said killed JFK? According to the public story,
Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald, right? So
Right.
there were 2 assailants on Kennedy. I'm sorry, on Carter. So Kennedy was the last president who had an assassination attempt, which lo and behold was successful, and it was Lee Harvey Oswald. The next president to have an assassination attempt, but he survived, was Carter, and there were 2 assailants, Raymond Lee Harvey and Oswaldo Ortiz.
What?
Correct. Now say those names together. Raymond Lee Harvey and Oswaldo Ortiz. Raymond Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
How is that even possible? How is that not just thumbing your nose at everyone? I joke around and I say, like, what does the CIA have, like a wheel with a list of names of assassins, right? And they just spin the wheel to see who they get to pin it on, and all of a sudden, they are like, we're going to do the Carter assassination next, and they spin the wheel, and they're like, God damn it, it landed on Lee Harvey Oswald again. What are we going to do now? And like, well, now we just got to we'll find 2 dudes, and we'll call one Raymond Lee Harvey, and we'll call the other one Oswaldo Ortiz. How's that work for you guys? Is that good? Yeah, okay, cool. We're going with it.
It just, I hear stuff like that, and it makes me think like we're in the fucking Matrix.
Yeah, it's a
There's
joke.
so
Is
many
what it really boils down to.
So many weird coincidences like that happen all the time. Where, I don't know if it's a matrix or some kind of energy or just our brains playing tricks on us, but man, it just seems like so much of that happens.
Right.
And it seems
imagine
like
imagine if the next president that we have, there's an assassination attempt, and the guy's name is Harvey Lee Oswald.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, of course, that's his name. That's where we live now.
I mean, why would you even question that? He's got a history of being on the internet and making terroristic threats, and he was transgender, and he was a transgender Muslim. So obviously he had conflict.
What's crazy is just the complete lack of interest. I mean, I did a documentary on Thomas Crooks on the assassination attempt of Trump. Did a lot of deep dives, found a lot of video buried deep online, and a lot of investigation paperwork and stuff, and like nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird. It's like, dude, this kid, he didn't even have silverware in his house.
Yeah,
Who the fuck?
people have no attention span now, and they put no effort into learning. So, I mean, you create content, I create content. For the most part, I've been doing long form content for years. And what the back of the house stats always show is that, like, people watch for 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then they watch for 2, and then all of a sudden, you got an hour video, and 4 people make it to the end out of 18,000 people. So they have no attention span, right?
Yeah,
so now here's the really funny thing. I started producing shorts, right? 30-second clips I'm now putting on the internet, and I'm getting the same feedback from the back of the house stats, is that 4% of the people make it to the end of a 30-second clip.
Jesus.
They have
Well-
no attention span. They have no cognitive ability. And then the really funny thing is that all these folks like come at you, and it cracks me up because people will be like, "You're full of crap. I've watched your videos, blah blah blah." And I think to myself, "No, you clicked on my video. You had an opinion. You clicked off of it, and now you're going to try to throw stones." And then if you
Right.
ask these people to
Well, that's easy.
to discuss anything in the video, the content that you created, they don't have anything. They just have an opinion of what they think was stated. So it shows that we have all of these people out there that are doing no thinking, they're doing no research, no one's reading books. I mean, if they're not watching a 30-second video clip, don't tell me that you're referenced on anything.
Right.
And this is the vast majority of people.
And AI makes everything so much easier, right?
Oh yeah, because you can fill the head full of junk.
But I can't tell you how many times like I've been like, well, that's not right. Like,
Right,
it'll
AI is
present
wrong all the
information.
time.
It's wrong all the
Right,
time.
it's like you might as it's the same thing as just walking up to a stranger on the street, asking them a question, and presuming that because they answered it's correct. It's no difference
Right.
because you can't test the veracity of the answer of the stranger.
Yeah.
Are you going to take them for their word? And this is what people are doing with AI. It's like, well, I asked AI, and it's
Well,
like you realize that they have like a limited source of information. Like people query AI, and they, for some peculiar reason, they think that AI has like all access to all information ever, so therefore it's checking and giving me the answer. And it's like, no, the people that have AI systems have to pay to have access to limited amounts of information, of which it gets to make a decision off of. So if you ask it if you ask it a question for which it doesn't have access to the information, it makes one up.
Right.
And then the other thing is that most people don't realize that AI makes errors all the time, and then technically there are I don't know what you call it, not fails. I can't think of the right word, but basically there's a list of all the errors that AI makes almost in real time, and most people don't pay attention to these stats. Right? Is that there are people that
So
have
it's like
to
a
use
site
these
you
systems.
can go to and see all the
And see all the errors that AI makes, but no one pays
Right.
attention to that. You know, they just query it. They presume that it's being accurate, but nobody's paying attention to its error
Everybody
rate.
wants to be spoon fed, Eric. We know
Yeah.
this. We know
nobody
this.
wants to do the work. Just like the
No.
politicians.
I saw this with the 3-Eye Atlas thing. Even as recently as like yesterday. Why doesn't NASA post the okay, dumbass. Well, first off, it's on their website. You can go see it on their fucking website. Second, it's called a federal government shutdown. They're on furlough. Like that would have taken you 2 minutes to research to figure that out. It's not a conspiracy. Like it's just the way it is. And it's just everybody wants to be spoon fed. Everybody,
absolutely.
You could type in the question too, but you want the person you're talking to tell you.
Right. It's like on the
just
screen
weird.
right now. It shows the website, deciphering.tv, right? So anybody that's angry at me right now would be like, well, prove what you're saying. And I'm like, well, I have a website. They were like, well, provide the link. And I'm like, it's on the screen. Like you do the work.
Well, type it for me.
Yeah, type it in. You need to provide me a link. No, it's on the screen. You type it in.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the thing. If you want to know, you'll look into it. And that's like going back to the content thing. I used to look at all that data too, and I just stopped. Like I took a page out of Joe Rogan's book and I was like, I'm just going to do what I want to fucking do. And people can either be down for it or not. But at the end of the day, what I want is when I'm dead and gone, my son can look at it and be proud of what I did.
Yep.
That's all I care about. I could give two shits about any of the statistics anymore.
Right. Yep. You can't please them all.
No, you definitely can't. And if you're gonna do this, why not make it something you're interested in? You know, like when I first started, I thought I was just gonna cover UFOs, and I realized I had pigeonholed myself. You know, well, if you're just covering UFOs, like if you're just covering
it connects to
disclosure.
so many things. Like you can't even technically just cover UFOs because there's a spider web of things, hidden technologies, nefarious factions.
It's like that octopus
decades of history.
documentary.
Yeah, there's so much going on. Have you ever heard of Danny Casolaro from back in the day? He was a researcher.
Sounds really familiar.
He was like on the front end of figuring out, and he called it the octopus from his research. And he was talking about, this 8-armed beast, and then it's funny because there's other research and folks out there that go right back to the Nazis again and CIA infiltration. And it's so funny because it seemed like Danny hit the nail on the head being an 8-armed monster, because it seemed the German faction itself that was up to the nefarious activity referred to themselves as Die Spinne, which is the German word for the spider.
And Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, he was supposed to meet a contact and was suicided in his hotel room, right? I mean,
absolutely.
They said it was suicide, but they say if you looked at the crime scene, it was a murder. I mean, there was blood everywhere. There were signs of a struggle, but they just did not.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics, but it was one of those things like he shot himself in the back of the head 12 times. And you're like, wait, what?
Right. The science just didn't match up with what they were saying. The forensics, I'm sorry. The forensics just didn't match up with what they said. But that's so easy for them to do, to just say it's a suicide, like Amy Eskridge.
Yep. Dude, think about the AI tech that's available to us right now, right? That that's technically available for free, right? But imagine if you had like money, like just that you could burn on AI. Imagine the content that you could create, okay? Right. So now imagine that tech was in the hands of other people, let's say 2, maybe 3 decades ago. Right? So now look at the videos that you could produce. Like if I sent you $5,000 and was like, yeah, dude, start making some videos, do whatever you can. You would be able to come up with some really wild stuff, right? Like if you and I were neighbors, you'd be able to make a video that makes it look like I killed someone else. You could, right? So now that technology exists in your hands today. So now think about, like, we're watching the news right now. We have it on the screen. So imagine 3 decades ago that there were other people that absolutely had this tech, and think of all the news that we grew up with. Was it legit or was it AI? Yeah. Think of the power that you could wield if you had that tech. Think of how many people that could have been set up, right? Let's say that you had a corporation, right? Let's say you're a military industrial complex corporation that has AI at their fingertips, and you have a competitor, and you just simply start producing AI videos to be like, look what this guy did. Look what that guy did.
Yep.
And if people don't know that the tech exists, I mean, think of all the videos that you could make right now. I mean, I just saw a video the other day where it legitimately looked like there was a cat on a front porch with a shotgun. Right. It looked totally real. So if I took that video and played it 30 years ago on the news and was like, holy cow, a cat with a shotgun broke into a house, people would just be like, well, it must be real because I saw it on the news. And, now I think of like the pilots in the military now that we get as whistleblowers, and like, well, there's no known technology that does that. Well, bro, you're a pilot. You think they tell you all the technology that exists?
Right. Yeah. Or that's another thing, is it, because going to the pilot thing, Ryan Graves said, once we added these new sensors is when we started seeing all this stuff. And so, I mean, if it's been there the whole time and you didn't start seeing it till the sensors were there, I mean, how could it be a threat? And I wonder more.
I think of it like they they added the sensors so that they could see it. You're right; it was always there,
Right.
but they certainly added the sensors, knowing who was going to see what was going on in
Yeah.
reality. But then they also probably got caught up with some doty type folk that were like, "Oh, you're observing UFOs because we don't have that tech."
Right.
But it's a need to know basis. In reality, what winds up happening is that pilot is not in a need to know basis, but those that need to know need the sensors in his plane so that when they get the information, they can be cognizant of the other earthly factions in their activities. And the pilot is still left in the dark and running around as a whistleblower, be like, we don't have that technology. No, bro, you weren't read in on it. They put the sensors on the plane so that the intel could be gathered by you and we can process it and we know what's going on and we have the big picture and we'll just leave you there like the fucking useless fucking idiot that you are.
Did you ever see
pilots like you were in the army and then we know about Marines and stuff and like you can say that people are grunts and infantry and we know all the pejorative terms that apply to that, right?
Sure, yeah.
Pilots love thinking they're super special, but in reality they pull the trigger on flying guns. They're aerial infantrymen. They're nothing special. They have no access to anything above and beyond the standard grunt in the trench with an M14. They have a flying M14, and their level of access to information is as limited as any other fucking grunt.
Yeah.
They're certainly not read in on every goddamn aerial platform that exists.
Oh, hell no.
No, not at all.
Did you ever hear the story of Matthew Roberts?
Negative. Not to my recollection.
Here, I'm going to get this queued up because this is really funny. And don't worry, folks, we're not missing anything important. As soon as we have some kind of announcement in the New York City race, you can see we've got him up here. So as soon as we get an update,
They're just deciding which public servant will fail you in the future.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Which one will disappoint you the most? So this is okay. So Matthew Roberts, he was one of the first Navy seamen to see the Go Fast gimbal footage. All right. He wasn't involved in it. He wasn't even on the same ship. He was on a different ship. But he was one of the first people to see the video and claims he had a hitchhiker effect from watching the video and an alien followed him home. And, I'm just going to...
That's when my grandfather's voice chimes into my head with, that's a tall tale.
Yeah, I'm going to let you listen to this. Tell me what you think.
Room. One night I woke up because something grabbed my arm and I woke up. I thought, well, my room is going blurry for some reason. So I went to try to raise my hands to my face and kind of wipe the sleep out of my eyes, and I couldn't move. I realized I could not move. And that I woke up because someone was grabbing my arm.
Mm-hmm.
So I, fought to kind of turn my head to.
Now, my friend Ryan, from Ryan's Pointing at Failure, another excellent. Mm-hmm. The explanation.
Arms and a head kind of.
You know how many times I've fallen asleep? How many times I've fallen asleep on my arm for a couple hours while you're sleeping, and then when you try to wake up and your arm doesn't move?
Oh, that's so weird. Or when your leg falls asleep and you can't.
Yeah. This guy probably he probably tied one on, slept on his arm for 4 hours straight, and then when he woke up and tried to move his arm, it didn't work, and now all of a sudden he's coming up with stories about it.
I wouldn't even be surprised. But so I brought up Ryan because Ryan is a buddy of mine who thinks like 99% of this is just sleep paralysis. And so that's what he thinks happened to this guy.
See who was standing there, and I just saw this shadow of a torso, 2 arms, and a head kind of bending over, looking at me. And as I'm looking
This
at
gets
this,
better.
the behind this shadow figure, there was this golden light just started to light up my room, and then it became very bright golden light, and the light concentrated into rays of light coming out of its head. And then there was a sexual experience, and I could see that this female who was there had blue skin. My hands were on her thighs, and
What
I could
year did
feel
this
her
occur,
skin,
this
and it was
conversation?
not like normal humans.
Oh, this was not long ago.
Okay. And how about the event that he's referencing? How long ago was that?
The gimbal and the go fast, or his
No,
event
this
with
this
having
event
sex?
in his bedroom.
Well, this was, I believe,
Yeah, his
just a
hooking up
couple
with the blue
months.
chick.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, this was just like a couple months after the go fast, the gimbal thing. So this video. A couple months later, he goes home on leave or whatever, and then this happens.
This sounds to me like it's part of the Corey Good propaganda faction.
Oh, it definitely sounds familiar, right?
Skin, it was much thicker than human skin would be. And then I woke up the next morning, and I felt like I wanted to throw up, completely violated. But you know what kind of pulled me back from that feeling of violation was the fact that there was this whole light show associated with it, and I started to think to myself, well, that looks like religious art that I've seen from all over the world. And so that kind of pulled me back and kept me from jumping to conclusions throughout the experience, which I think is something that.
So he got raped by a blue alien, but he saw some religious.
But it's cool because there was like a good light show. This reminds me of a
There's
Grateful
a good light
Dead
show.
concert when you go
Yeah.
home with a hairy chick and you didn't mean to,
It's a good light show. There's some religious symbolism, so he's down for it.
That people have a problem with, right? Something like this happens to you, and you want to just jump to, oh my gosh, it's evil. This is an evil thing. This can't be happening. I need to be afraid of this. So on and so forth. I came across this book in a very terrifying and paranormal way, and it was a book called The Kabbalion.
Okay, so The Kabbalion, published in 1908 under the pseudonym Three Initiates. The Kabbalion presents itself as a compact manual of Hermetic philosophy, a modern distillation of teachings attributed loosely to the mythical Egyptian sage Hermes Trismegistus. Most scholars now link its authorship to Chicago-based occult writer William Walker Atkinson, possibly with collaborators. Collaborators, I'd imagine, comes from the fact that it's called the initiates, plural, and not singular, the initiate. I find it interesting that Matthew says here that he came across this book. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. So, yeah, it is weird. He says, like, I came across this book in this super creepy paranormal way, and then he's like, so I had to read it.
Yeah, it's this stuff. To me, this is stagecraft. It's somebody reading a script. It's somebody that was directed to say these things and push a narrative. I'm familiar with these texts. I know who Hermes Trimus. It means thrice great. So I'm versed in these things too. Trismegistus means thrice great, 3 times great. So I'm not unfamiliar with these things, which I know most people are because they don't read these things, and then they take these things at face value, what these knuckleheads say, but yet they're pushing a narrative that's so similar to what Corey Good says, and I'm just going to fucking lay it out there. This guy was pissed because it was a blue chick and not a blue dude.
Yeah, the
Sorry,
homoerotic
sorry,
is
I'm kind of getting a vibe off the dude. He was like, and
much
then
more
I was,
meaningful.
yeah, he was mad it wasn't a blue dude.
I can see it. I mean, he wasn't the Navy, so I'm just kidding. I tease my Navy
Whatever,
friends.
whatever you're into, but let's not lie about it. Just be honest. Be honest, sir. I was very
Yeah.
upset that the blue alien was female that molested me.
It's super interesting. He says that's from a hitchhiker effect.
Think
from just
about this stuff. Like
watching the
people saying
video.
this stuff. Like if all of this stuff happened to you, right, in real time, first person, and you had no other people feeding you information, where would you even get this vernacular?
Right.
You
Yeah,
would have different
for
words.
sure.
You wouldn't be saying things like hit. Like where do you get like that's a vocabulary word in disclosure now.
Yeah.
So if you were not in these circles at all, Gabe, and this stuff happened to you, you wouldn't show up to the circle with the appropriate vernacular to match the agendas. You'd have your own terms because you wouldn't know what to make of it.
Yeah. I probably also wouldn't be trying to figure it out on a podcast.
Right.
I mean, just to be brutally, I mean, I might go on a podcast and talk about it later, but until I like process it and make sense of it in my own head, I'm probably not going to go out there and
which is supporting what I'm saying. Like, it's if you hadn't engaged other people and processed it so that you can get the words, the terms. So this is what I'm getting at: is there's behind the scenes activities that are constantly going on with these people that are guiding them to the right approved terms. Oh, it was a blue alien. Who have we heard that from before?
Look at that. We got Mondani in the lead.
Oh
leading
no!
by 100,000 votes. Polls close in an hour 45 minutes. So,
oh man, I can't believe Slee was down that low. Oh my god, I never
even
thought
if you give Cuomo all of Sliwa votes, he's still short.
But this is why this is why I cannot believe that this stuff is legitimate. I mean, I cannot actually believe that the city of New York is voting for a Muslim mayor. I can't.
Well,
I can't believe it.
It looks like they're interviewing some New Yorkers here. Let's see if they got anything good.
Online influencer. He has a channel with a large following, and this kind of has to do with the way that the Mondani campaign has been reaching out to those on social media. Their base, not just in New York City, but then also the attraction to outside of the 5 boroughs. It's interesting to see how people in Los Angeles or even across in Europe are engaging with Mamdani's messaging as well as
in New York City.
Yeah, you know, Bernadette, that's been a phenomenon. I know some of you have mentioned from out in the field that there's a lot of international press that are showing up to a local election. Which is
I thought he was going to say international influence.
What are you seeing there?
Right. Well, I mean, over the past couple of weeks, Mamdani's been taking questions from those from Germany, from London, from France. And of course, as a local reporter, I'm always thinking to myself, he's running for New York City mayor. He should be answering New York City questions. But take that with a grain of salt. What these reporters are trying to find out is if what's happening in the U.S. will have any influence over other big cities across the world, and especially other big cities like London, for example, or Paris, where, you know, democratic socialism is more of a norm, as opposed to here in New York, where it's the center of capitalism.
That's the thing. That's the new kind of hip word, democratic socialism. Have you heard this term?
No, I haven't. I guess it's a new stupid term I have to deal with.
Yeah, it's. I think the idea is we keep the good stuff of capitalism, but fix the bad stuff using socialism, like the postal service, or like the UK does with healthcare, things like that. I don't look. If you're going to put
Sounds like a
socialism,
non-merit-based society to me.
yeah, and if you're going to put socialism in the phrase, good luck. Like that's not
Right.
going to fly
Yeah.
in this country. It's just not. Like we have fought wars over communism and socialism. We're not down with communism and socialism.
It makes me really wonder. So, like when we get at this idea of like New York and this peculiarity of a Muslim mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabe. Where's the headquarters of the UN?
That's New York, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe this has something to do with the peculiarity of the situation.
Well, yeah, and you hear all the international, he's taking questions
Right.
like, why are you answering the German press when you're running for mayor in New York City?
Right. He should just say, your questions are irrelevant to me.
So, yeah, that's kind of.
I'm focused more on my city than your global issues. Oh, but that's right. UN headquarters is in Manhattan.
Interesting. All right, I'm gonna refill my drink here. And
Sounds like a plan.
Let's listen to these cats talk while I do that. I think this is more interesting. Let me check out the other one. Yeah, we'll leave it here for a moment, and we'll be right back, folks.
And there you hear it from former Governor Pataki. Did Donald Trump make the right call? A flat no. So you have a prominent Republican there praising the Sliwa campaign for sticking it out until the end, Errol.
Yeah, I mean, and Dan, this is for Republicans in New York who are vastly outnumbered in the registration. They're used to the idea that they're standing on principle and maybe fighting a losing battle that's worth fighting.
And especially for Sliwa, he thought he had the moderate, common sense, middle of the road kind of policy on issues of law and order. And he was not a doctrinaire conservative. He was pro-choice, pro-gay marriage. He was a critic of Donald Trump's immigration and deportation policies, particularly in New York. Perhaps that is why he is faring so poorly and not getting what a typical Republican would get, or why Donald Trump did not see him as a credible candidate. He was not a pro-Trump Republican, and Trump treated him as such. And Trump is so influential. What we are seeing perhaps could be the influence of Trump in that last hour coming out on his social media pages saying, don't vote for Sliwa. And that is why perhaps you see Sliwa in such a distant third. But we'll have to see what the election day vote totals come in and see if that pushes Sliwa up in the from far behind in third place.
Yes, indeed. The night is still early. Thank you, Dan. Let's check in now with our Kelly Menner. She's in Midtown monitoring Andrew Cuomo's election night party. What is the latest there, Kelly?
Well, the latest here is the room has completely filled up as of now. No big reaction from those who are here. We're still waiting to see when the former governor will show up. He still is in second place as those unofficial results start coming in. In the crowd, no big names as of yet, but I have seen some close allies of Mayor Eric Adams and some of his, at least one of his advisors here in the crowd tonight. We were talking to some of the other attendees that include some volunteers that were out earlier campaigning into the final hours of this race, trying to get the governor's message out there, trying to make sure that voters know that he's more of this moderate Democrat, and continuing that message that this is about the future of the Democratic Party, this moderate versus progressives, moderate versus Democratic socialists, and what that future could look like. Nobody in the room necessarily worried about the returns that are coming in so far. They're saying it is still early in the race. There's still many more votes to go. The night is young, and so we'll have to see as those returns come back in. But this is a second bid for the former governor. This is not looking good as of now, but the same place that he was in earlier this year when it came to the Democratic primary. He was looking to get a boost from Republican voters in this last final stretch, his last days going into tonight. So we'll have to see if that's going to be enough as the night continues, Errol.
Yeah, that's right. It's important to keep in mind, I guess, there are about 970,000 votes have been counted so far, which means we're not really even at the halfway mark. So they have good reason there to hope for an outcome that will favor their candidate.
Yeah, that's definitely right. And these are people who are aware of that energy coming out of Zohran Mamdani's camp. They're aware of this could be a very long night. That's something that many people have been telling me as I've been walking around the crowd. So they did not expect this to be an early night or something that would be clear right away. So they are waiting, just like everybody else, to see how this all shakes out as the night goes on, Errol.
Okay, a nail biter, at least at this point. Thanks very much. We're going to go now to, well, let's see. If Zohran Mamdani wins, he's going to make history as the first Muslim mayor of New York City. New York One's Noraline Khawaja is at an election night watch party. This is in Astoria, Queens, and it is hosted by the Muslim Democratic Club. Noraline, what are you hearing from the voters there?
Good evening, Errol. Yeah, as soon as, and by the way, they have New York One on their TVs here, and as soon as we announce the early results, all of the, community members that have gathered here at this Yemeni coffee shop in Astoria, which of course is a part of Mamdani's assembly district, they were cheering, they were excited. There's a lot of enthusiasm, although of course it's still early, as we've been mentioning on air. And this event is being hosted by a community organizer here in Astoria, born and raised in Astoria, Rana Abdelhamid, and she joins us now. Rana, I want to ask you, you've been canvassing, you've been at, on the front lines, if you will, campaigning for Mamdani. So how are you feeling right now in this moment?
I feel really proud of the coalition that we've pulled together. This is a historic moment. This is a hopeful moment. I think especially throughout this campaign, there's been so much Islamophobia and hate and vitriol towards Mamdani, and so much of that resonated with our community, and now we get to celebrate so much of the labor that went into this race.
And you are a supporter of Mamdani. You know him. Of course, this is part of his assembly district. So, how hopeful are you when it comes to coming out on the other side of this? And what are some of those issues of why you are supporting him and backing him in this moment?
I'm looking forward to rent stabilization. I'm looking forward to fast and free buses. I think so much of his affordability agenda, and look, everybody is so excited. So much of his affordability agenda resonates with our community here in Astoria and Queens as working class communities.
And why do you think that so many young voters, first-time voters, a lot of Muslim voters, immigrants, this is a working class neighborhood, why do you think they turned out for Mamdani? Of course, this watch party is full of supporters of Mamdani.
Exactly, as you mentioned, this is a working class community, a community where the message of affordability really resonates, but also a community that has not been engaged politically, a community that has been ignored. And finally, we're engaged in the electoral fold, and we're being seen and represented.
And a message here that is resonating with so many New Yorkers, Errol, is the fact that they feel seen. They believe that if indeed it is Mamdani to become the next mayor of New York City, that these are, New Yorkers who finally feel like that they're having their moment, that this is historic for them, that to have possibly the first Muslim mayor. You can hear all of the chanting behind me at this point. I can't hear you in the control room, but certainly you can feel the enthusiasm that's in this room with so many of Mamdani's supporters in his district. So a lot of excitement, but again, with caution. It's still early. The votes are still coming in, but these people behind me, these folks, Errol, they're feeling confident.
Okay, thank you, Noraline. A lot of energy there, and it's not just the caffeine. We've got a handful of citywide races to call at this point.
Spectrum News New York One coverage of the New York mayoral race. We're bringing you live coverage of that this evening here on C-SPAN, part of our Election Night 2025 coverage. We're going to break away right now to bring you an update from the New Jersey gubernatorial race. Mikey Sherrill, the former Navy pilot and congresswoman, declared the winner by the Associated Press tonight. 61% of the vote in, and you can see right there the margin, 57%, nearly 57% is what she has right now with 61% of the votes in. For Election Night 2025, we are joined here in Washington by Evan McMorris Santoro, Notice reporter, and you can follow his reporting at notice.com. Evan McMorris Santoro, what do you make of Mikey Sherrill being declared the winner in New Jersey, 9:30 p.m. East Coast?
This has been the kind of night that it has been all night, right? It was supposed to be this was the one to be the nail biter one. We're going to wait and see what happens in New Jersey. Might take a long time. The polls are kind of close in that race, and the Democrats just sort of seem to have walked away with it, which we've seen with so many of these races, right? In Virginia, huge blowout win for Democrats. This race in New Jersey is very interesting because in Virginia, there's a conversation about candidate quality, right? Republicans are saying now we had a bad candidate for governor against Abigail Spanberger. You can't blame this on us. They had a good candidate who almost won in 2021 against Mike Sherrill this time, and she beat him. So it's been a wild night, and for it to be so early, really, for this race, I think is one that if you're a Democrat and you're a Democratic strategist, you're thinking this is really the best case scenario for us.
Yeah, Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican, ran in 2021, came close to beating Phil Murphy there, lost by 3 percentage points.
Very close. A nail-biter night, actually. I remember I ran down to that part of New Jersey where his headquarters was because of how close that race was. And this is a guy who knows how to run in New Jersey, but couldn't get.
Did you ever see that show called Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis?
I have.
That's what that guy reminds me of right there.
I thought it was him.
2020 lost
when you were saying that, I'm like, oh, that must be him.
What happened tonight?
Well, this is one of the stories we're going to be looking at as we go forward from tonight, right? Because the reality is we're seeing some narratives, some conversations that we were having before this election day have come to an end, right? And one of them was, look, this new Republican Party under Trump can change the map, change everything dramatically, and hang on to it. And the idea that you have, starting with Ciattarelli, sort of getting close in 2021, Trump coming in, winning that, almost winning in 2024, and then you have that going back the other way, that changes that conversation about what is happening with Republicans in places like New Jersey, in some of those urban places that they were doing well in.
We'll talk more about this race and others with Evan McMorris Santoro, part of C-SPAN's Election Night 2025 coverage. But let's bring you back to Spectrum News New York 1. It looks like Curtis Lewa, the Republican candidate, is speaking to supporters.
Enemies.
Oh, he's fired up.
I don't know why with the numbers he's pumping.
Right.
Always be united. We the people will always be united. That has been our quest from day one.
All right, let's hop over.
You're seeing on your screens Mike
some other
Sherrill's
coverage
headquarters,
here.
the Democrat that the AP has declared the winner in this race. Lots of jubilation there. Not so much at Jack Ciattarelli's headquarters. He's the Republican who now has lost his third bid to be governor of New Jersey. He lost in a primary 2 cycles ago, lost to Phil Murphy, the incumbent now, by 3 percentage points back in 2021, and has now lost to Mikey Sherrill in this race. We have not heard yet from Jack Ciattarelli.
Pretty good track record.
He's expected to speak at some point tonight at his headquarters here in Bridgewater, New Jersey. But already you have some glum faces in the crowd, people checking their phones, refreshing results, looking at the race call from the AP and other news organizations. And you have what was initially a festive mood turning quite dour. People still trying to make the most of it, conversing with friends, having some drinks, and waiting to hear from Jack Ciattarelli. Also, inevitably, the questions start to come out about what went wrong. We've seen on social media already people questioning the strategy of President Donald Trump not to campaign for Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey, while others have pointed
That's
out
interesting.
that Ciattarelli has struck out twice before in his
That Trump
campaigns for
wouldn't-
governor, and that
wouldn't go
maybe this
help.
wasn't so much a referendum on President Donald Trump, but really a referendum on the candidates in this race. And as you mentioned, Mikey Sherrill is popular. She has been elected.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
Congress
we
several times,
know
and
that any type of win for the Democrats are going to try to turn this into a referendum on Trump, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's just what they do, folks. And it's just hype. It's just bullshit.
It's more bickering.
Yeah, bickering for bickering's sake.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is, we're still in day 35 of a government shutdown, and they couldn't even get to the vote today, which is like just crazy. It's just ridiculous. And it's over.
But all the new people voted in are going to fix everything, Gabe.
Oh, they're not going to do shit. Where's this? Virginia, New York City. Like, I worry for New York City, especially if this isn't who they really want to be their leader. If it is some kind of illegal immigration thing like we were talking about earlier, fuck, that's not good for New York City.
Yeah, it's just I think there's going to be chaos. The guy, everything which I saw him say again. I have limited how do I like interest. Like I don't even I don't look deeply into it. So even at face
bullshit.
value, it looks horrible.
Yeah. I mean, so much of it is just theater and nonsense, like
stagecraft,
spending,
absolutely all day long.
Yep, spending a ton of brain cells on it is. I advise against it. I've spent more brain cells than I like on it because of the shutdown thing, but it's the same that it's always been. I mean, I was into politics when I was younger and passionate, and it's hard not to be. They get you all spun up.
There's no logic and reason to me that there's going to be a mayor of New York City that is like happy that 9/11 occurred and is stating that the heat, the shade that gets thrown to Muslims in New York contemporarily is worse than the 9/11 event when it occurred. Like that, statements like that just blows my mind. Like this is where we've gotten.
That's nuts.
Right.
So I looked at, excuse me, I tried to look up things you said on 9/11 because I know you said you thought you saw it on social. One thing he did say that they do got him on a quote here is the ant on the subway story. So he said a female relative, his aunt, stopped taking the subway after 9/11 because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
There you go.
So basically implying like her having to worry about. I don't know. I guess
that might be the story that I was trying to express to you.
Yeah,
is that
so her
blowback. He was basically saying is more of a problem than the 9/11 event itself was.
Right.
And it's like, what?
Let me see what else has got on him here. So on X, he's posted annual remembrances, blah, 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 blah.
That would be like Jeffrey Epstein's family complaining that they're getting blowback from associations to pedophilia folk than the problem of pedophilia.
Well, one thing it's noticing, again, this is AI, so this is not me going in and reading 100 articles, but one pattern the AI has noticed in multiple articles is that he does seem to frame it as a message about Islamophobia more than anything else.
Than the terrorist act itself, which was laid at the feet of Islam.
Right. He also copy pastes his 9/11 anniversary posts.
I don't even know what that means.
So like, you go to post, hey, to all the victims on 9/11, whatever you want to say, right? Blah, 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 blah. He copies somebody else's post about it and then pastes it on his own. And
okay.
I don't know why that, I guess showing he doesn't even take the time to write it out himself. I don't know. People are so critical, man.
So typical politician doing the path of least resistance for effort.
Right. Exactly. Vance's viral jab and follow-on coverage amplified claims that Mondani was minimizing 9/11. Mondani's defense is that he was describing real fears faced by visibly Muslim New Yorkers after the attacks. Okay. So he consistently memorializes his victims, but the main focus is on Islamophobia.
Right.
Is what we can take away from that. Those are the actual facts.
That's not peculiar.
It is peculiar. It's weird. And it, like, in the city where it happened, New York, it's crazy that that's the guy that's kicking ass. I mean, it looks like he's kicking ass.
Right, which I don't believe that can be real. This is where I throw stones at the voting process.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Oh boy.
They just called him the winner.
People try to replicate this in other races and in other places. And I really think that this is a huge moment, this win that we see tonight.
All right, we want to get our viewers' reaction to the winners called by the Associated Press tonight, beginning with the New York City mayoral race. Zohran Mamdani gets the check mark from the Associated Press with 70%, about 70% of the vote in. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, the former congresswoman, former CIA agent, becomes the first female governor of the Commonwealth. The Associated Press declaring her the winner tonight. Going to New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, also Democrat, winning tonight in the Garden State. Evan, what do you make of Democrats taking all three of these contests?
Well, like I said, elections end the conversations and they start new conversations. And let's talk about.
Oh, it's a complete referendum, Susie.
After 2024, Democrats thought to themselves, geez, can we run a woman? Can women win? Can we have a woman at the top of our ticket and win something? Yeah, they did in 2 big states, and they did in big numbers. The other question is, now the question opens up is, these 2 women are from the more moderate end of the party, and they've done very, very well in tough political environments, right? In states that
wow. So, initial thoughts from an East Coaster.
Thanks for ruining my day, Gabe. I'm livid. I'm beside myself right now. This is maddening. I was present in New York for when the 9/11 events occurred. I remember going to pick up my children from daycare. I remember, other parents from daycare that were New York City police officers that were stopping by the daycare facility to kiss their kids goodbye because they didn't know if they were ever coming home because of the severity of the situation. And now seeing this occur, I don't know. To me, this is a smack in the face. I'm pissed. I mean,
it's unbelievable. I'll be honest. Look, I've talked.
Why not make him president of the United States next? Like, what the fuck? Like,
that's what they're going to try to do. That's why he's talking to Germany. That's absolutely what they're going to try to do.
Yeah, that's what we need is politicians that are pro-Muslim, that think that 9/11 was a good thing. Let's make him mayor of New York, and then we'll bump him up to president of the United States, and we'll open all of our borders, and we'll bring a whole bunch of terrorists in because that's what we need. Like, this is fucking retarded.
I mean, you just said it. We kind of already did that, right, with Biden.
Right. I mean,
when you're letting 30,000 undocumented workers over your border a month.
A month?
A month, buddy. 30,000 a month.
I think it was a much higher number than that.
Was it really?
I think it was a much higher number. Go Google
I could be
that.
I could be misremembering for sure.
I think that might have been a day. And I think it's think it's even conservative for a day. I think you'll be thoroughly floored if you were to investigate that number. I think it was much higher than that, dude.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, these the amount of illegal aliens coming in under the Biden administration, I think, was much higher than the number that you just suggested.
I could swear I read a report that said it was somewhere like in the mid 30,000s per month or something, like 34,000 a month or something like that. But
I'm not a betting
totally
man.
Be wrong.
I am not a betting man, but I would bet the number's much higher.
Yeah, it probably is. Let's see.
I feel like I just want to go do a whole bunch of shots while beating my head against the wall and probably start a pistol.
It's okay, buddy. First off, you don't even live in New York anymore, right? It's their city mayor. Second off,
I feel like it puts it on the list of places that I can't go to now just because of the situation. Like, I already felt that New York was an open air prison when I went back to visit, but now it's an open air prison. But the warden is a Muslim that's pro Muslim terrorist activities.
Okay.
Like, what happens if I go to New York now and a Muslim attacks me? And I try to defend myself. Am I in the wrong? Is it going to be considered an anti-Muslim hate crime?
I mean, I would hope not, right?
You know, because I mean, like, just like the way I function, right? Like, if you come up to me and you start punching me in the face, like you have glasses on, I'm going to call you Four Eyes. You have a NASA hat on, I'm going to call you I'm going to defend myself while calling you all of the things that I see that you are. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, that's how I function, right? So if I go to a subway on New York and a Muslim guy tries to stab me because they have a propensity to be doing that lately on trains, I'm going to call him all of the things that I identify him as. And then, I mean,
your anger is you're seeing red.
Right. Absolutely.
And
so then all of a sudden,
nothing you say is going to make sense anyway.
And I'll be charged for a hate crime at that point.
Right. Which is, well, yeah, God, wouldn't that be insane if that's what New York City turns into?
Here's a little foreshadowing. I predict that's going to start occurring.
Okay.
Everything's going to be a hate crime against Muslims.
Oh, fuck, buddy. Really?
I'm predicting it. I'm calling it right now. We're going to see a lot more.
We're almost, closing on 20 years, 15 years after 9/11. Is it really still that big of a problem, Islamophobia in New York City? You'd think it would have been worse.
No, I don't.
When.
I don't believe that it's truly a thing. Just like I remember, like in the last couple of years, they were putting out propaganda that one of the biggest issues in our country was Asian hate crimes were supposed to be a big deal.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
Right. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's just, that's not real.
Yeah. I'm transparent here. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I was a registered Democrat most of my life. Right. And I had to step away from that because it just got too extreme.
You started thinking.
Well, yeah, and it just got too extreme. Like, when they started talking about speech and safe spaces, I checked out. Dude. I was like, I'm fucking done with you knuckleheads. Because, like, if you're going to tell a bunch of college kids right before they hit the real world, there's such a thing as a safe space, you are setting those kids up for major failure.
Absolutely.
That is not the real world. There's no safe space for you out here, right? It's fucking not like that in real life. Okay. Ran some numbers, used AI, got the reports on the illegals, ran some numbers. So if we look at the numbers, total, now it says encounters at the southern border. Now it says the closest official metric, because it can't do, it doesn't track undocumented workers. So the closest official metric is Southwest land border encounters. Each time.
This is really throttling reality.
Oh no. So it says each time. Oh, it's as bad as you say.
Oh,
Each time California Border Patrol stops someone at or between ports of entry. Okay, so one person can be counted multiple times, and many are expelled or removed. So total encounters at the southern border during fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 24 was about 8.7 million.
In that entire time period.
In that entire time period. In 2021, it was 1.73. In 2022, it was 2.38. In 2023, it was 2.5 million. And in 2024, it went back to 2.1 million.
I still feel like the measure for what they're doing still would be less than what I'm discussing because they're talking encounters. So, like in a way, that's like saying, like, police encountered, X amount of people breaking into buildings. Well, that's not a reference to how many people broke into buildings. It's how many times police encountered them. There's going to be a lot more crimes going on where encounters didn't occur.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is what I'm getting at is that, right. So that when I say that, X amount of legal aliens crossed the border, guess what? Those people had 0 encounters.
Right.
The encounters were when we stopped people. So what I'm trying to talk about is the total number of people that made it over, which would have to be, I don't know, magnitudes higher.
Yeah, even
than
higher.
Those that are encountered.
If you take that and average it out monthly, it's 185,000
encounters
a month.
Right.
And it would be even higher than that.
Right. So what I'm trying to get at is I want to know the number of people that didn't get encountered and made it through.
We know it's higher than
it's higher than 185,000 a month.
Holy shit, my friend. Like that is
it's an invasion. It was a planned invasion, and there was a practical reason that they tolerated this. I shouldn't even say tolerated, induced.
Right.
Set the stage, promoted, desired, invested in.
Mm-hmm.
Because lest we forget that all these people that they're saying, oh, they're poor and they're looking for a better life. Well, how do you make it to the border of America and Mexico if you're down in Panama, if you're from El Salvador? Like,
it's a good question.
People paid for these people to get there.
What do you mean?
George Soros.
So you think that they went...
I think they were giving out bus passes.
Special interest parties went south and got these people to our border.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's been out there. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're alone or making some crazy claim. Like there's a lot of people that have said this, including journalists, well-respected journalists. So the whole Soros influence on some of the crazy calamity we've been experiencing the last decade is something that certainly should be looked into. Yeah.
Oh, there was really good news today. I don't know if you heard, but to the best of my knowledge, Dick Cheney did the greatest thing in his career ever today.
Now, see, I try not to piss on a dead man's grave, but if you're gonna make me,
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
the coolest thing he ever did in my book was drop dead.
Well, he survived without a heart inside of himself for a while. So this guy was like, I didn't know if he was going to die at some point. You know, I thought he was going to upload himself to some software and he was going to be the first robot.
He may have. He might be the next AI that's coming out. The Dick Cheney AI.
Right, completely sentient AI.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. It's
he got uploaded into the Halliburton mainframe.
The best thing to come from Dick Cheney may have been Christian Bale's performance in that movie called Cheney. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't.
You cannot even, you can barely see Christian Bale in there. And it's not just because of the makeup. It's like he just
Christian Bale's a great actor.
He just embraced this character. Like he became Dick Cheney. It's a fantastic
Did
movie.
you hate the character?
Of course.
Okay, so then he nailed
It's
it.
Dick Cheney. The guy
Fair
is
enough.
terrible.
So he nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, look, death is the ultimate goodbye. Everything's gone. May he rest in peace and God bless his family and all that stuff. But he was not a good person.
I have no animosity to his family because they're not him. But him as a human being is almost like the devil incarnate in human form again.
Yes.
The shenanigans that he pulled, which are very referenceable.
Yes.
I mean, it just is what it is.
He ran our country like it was a corporation that didn't care about human life. That's what
I
he
think
did.
that's putting it lightly, even.
I think
Like,
it's the simplest way to put it. I mean, that's what he
think-
fucking did. And it cost millions of lives. I mean, you could say he's responsible for the death of hundreds of thousands of people.
I think he ran our country like he had a corporation that was looking to profiteer by manipulating the laws and society that is. It's like the way that you put it almost seems like he had some sort of misguided noble conscience still. You know, like as
I don't think it was misguided. No, I think he was just a cold-hearted individual.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Is that like it's not? Yeah, I don't even know how to put this. Like, it's one thing to be a murderer, right? And you're a horrible human being if you're a murderer, and nobody's going to really argue that. But you don't get to just simply wash your hands of murder by not doing the murdering and convincing other people to do it for you, which effectively is like, Gabe, you can only kill so many people in a day with your own bare hands. And that would make you a horrible person if you were in that activity. But if you were like, well, you know what? I could get a lot more people killed if I convinced other people to do the killing for me. And then lo and behold, I mean, technically, I don't even have to kill anyone anymore because I'm getting other people to do it for me. It's magnitudes of different levels of nefarious activity and intention. And I mean, I'll lay that at the feet of Dick Cheney all day long because history has proven me to be correct.
Yeah. He's also one of very few politicians that was able to just shoot somebody in the face and get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They're like, it was an unfortunate accident. Like, what? Quail hunting is like, they can't even fly. They're little birds on the ground. How do you shoot a man in the face on accident?
You said we were quail hunting, and I thought that was Dan Quayle. My mistake.
So crazy. And another interesting point about Cheney was he was, Republican conservative from Texas, and he was completely against homosexuality, gay rights, like anything to do with homosexuality. He was completely against it. But then, surprise, his daughter ended up gay.
You know what that normally means too? Is that he's paying teenage male prostitutes to visit him in the hotel. That's normally what that means when they take such a staunch angle against it.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what's going on there, Dick?
What you're saying is not without some evidence. I mean, we've seen that time and time again.
Precedent has been set on that. Is that the dudes that are usually so against it, right? So when I was married, I went to my wife's 10-year high school reunion. And she was from a very rough and tough school on Long Island. A lot of gangs, a lot of fights, a lot of tough guys, and all these shenanigans, right? Sure. Rage, hate, all that stuff. We went to her 10-year reunion, and most of the dudes that were former gangbangers were some of the most flamboyant gay dudes I've ever seen in my life. Wow. And it was like, oh, this is so interesting. Like,
isn't that crazy though to think like they just had to get out of that environment? And
well, it's crazy to me that people can be so two-faced. Again, like be whatever you want to be, right?
Yeah.
But there's there's this two-faced capacity to people that take such a hard line against something. It sends red flags off in my head every time. And it's like, are you really against it? Or you're just against people knowing you're associated to that you love it.
Yeah, we do see that a lot.
It happens.
I see that with like
we've seen it a lot with priests and with all these different pastors and religious people of so many times through the decades. Yeah. You know, they're the head of some church that's collecting all kinds of monies, and they're all the gays are bad, and we can pray it out of you.
Yeah.
You know, and then next thing you know, they get caught in a hotel. You know, with a young buck and some meth.
Well, what was that? That I think what you're mentioning there, that was he wasn't Catholic. He was a big mega church preacher, right?
Wasn't it Rush Limbaugh that was all against drugs, against drugs, against drugs, against drugs, and then it turned out he was a drug dealer?
Well, he was a user. That's for sure. He had a lot of oxycodone at his disposal.
There you go. Yeah. And then we have so many California politicians that are against guns, against guns, against guns. And then we find out they're smuggling guns.
Right. And as soon as BLM and COVID happened, gun sales in California went through the roof. Because people were scared.
Yeah. Remember back in the day when the mafia lobbied the politicians to create prohibition so they could corner the market on booze?
Now that I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much prohibition was brought on by the mafia.
I thought it was a big like evangelical.
No, the mafia promoted prohibition because they knew they're not going to follow the rules. And they would then corner the market on alcohol sales. And the reason that prohibition was removed was basically to take the power away from the mafia that was still flooding the streets with booze. But the warring that was going on between everybody was just, it became a bigger problem to fight the booze industry than it was to just legalize it again.
Man.
It took the power away from them. That's why like a lot of the drugs that we've had through the years that have been prohibited, it's blatant because it causes a monopoly to the people that won't follow the rules.
Talk about 5D chess. I
mean, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what happened to weed dealers now that most states are legal? It took the wind out of their sails.
I didn't know any weed dealers. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. I should have spoke more appropriately. Methamphetamines, Gabe. You're obviously a meth abuser.
Obviously.
It's the only way you can stay on these streams for so long, and you take your little breaks because you're like, I need a little bump of meth.
Gotta
call my guy.
Gotta get my fix. Oh shit! I cannot believe this guy won.
I don't even want to think about this.
It's interesting though. We had 3 Democratic wins tonight, and if things continue to go this way, I'm gonna say probably Prop 50 gets passed as well, which allows California to redistrict. I jotted down few details on that because essentially I guess what that's going to do is make it so these Democrats can do something on a national scale. Let me see if I can find it here.
I mean, even former Governor Schwarzenegger came out against the redistricting of California. And he was the one during COVID that was like, screw your rights.
Okay, so I'm trying to see if I can get a live update on Prop 50, like on a website, because they have the races. Okay, California turnout was high. California, this ballot measure, Prop 50, attracted at least $100 million, perhaps $200 million, by San Francisco's Examiner's account.
Gabe, I know what you're thinking. There's no money laundering involved in that at all. It's not possible. Don't even think it.
Jeez. My God. Okay, so I can share this tab, I think. And right now it looks like we've got no updates. Yeah, I mean, on the West Coast, it's 7 o'clock. And they started making these announcements on the East Coast. It was around like 9 p.m. East Coast time. So I would imagine we'll see some results soon. Yeah, congressional redistricting. So we'll keep our thumb on that one. Okay, so Prop 50, here's kind of a general summary if you don't pay a ton of attention, like myself usually. Prop 50 would temporarily allow the California state legislature to draw the state's U.S. congressional district maps instead of the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission for the 26 to 2030 election cycles only. You get that so far?
Oh, yeah. I don't believe the temporariness as presented, but go ahead.
Nothing the government, they always get it passed by saying it's temporary, right?
Right.
And then it just, like ask anybody in the Bay Area how temporary their bridge tolls were. Yeah, they told them that those are going to be temporary.
There you go.
Okay, so supporters argue it's meant to counter gerrymanders in other states and ensure California's representation in
Counter
Congress.
it's the definition of gerrymandering.
Right.
And if it was to counter gerrymandering, why would it be temporary?
Right. You know why?
Because it's a lie.
Yeah, you know how they do this messaging.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Boy, it'd sure be interesting to see how that $100 million invested in Prop 50 was actually distributed.
Oh my God,
it couldn't possibly have been squandered in any way, shape, or form by any faction affiliated with it.
Yeah, there's no way, right?
No way. There's no way.
They said up to 200 million, Eric.
$200 million for what would you even call this effort?
Redistricting effort.
Right? So how do these monies get spent? How many flyers does that buy you from Staples? How many? I mean, I'm sure there's we're looking at a room there in Denver. I see a whole bunch of people. I imagine those are all volunteers.
Right. I know what you're saying. How the fuck do you spend $200 million on this?
On this task.
Right. How do you do that?
Right.
I mean, you would have to be the most irresponsible campaign manager ever.
Remember that website that Obama was trying to build for $300 trillion that never came to fruition?
Oh, which one? The healthcare one?
I think that was it. Yeah. It
never
came to fruition, but they spent a god awful amount of money on it. It's like where does that money go, folks? Like these are all scams. Like, so in reality, like it could be that nobody even gives a damn about gerrymandering. Nobody gives a damn about the voting districts. But what they do give a damn about is generating $200 million to misappropriate.
Yes.
Could it possibly just be a money redistribution scam?
Right.
Under false pretenses?
The lengths that people will go.
Gabe, I'm going to start the Save the Children Fund right now on air live. Everybody, we're gonna save the children. Send us $200 trillion so that we can save the children. And I will assure you that it'll just be
this little
properly distributed.
StreamYard made me this little
nothing more noble than saving the children.
A QR code, so people can click the QR code and then it goes right to my donate page.
Yes.
I would put it up, except I'd probably get busted for fraud right now. Because that's who they come after, a little fish like me that would make $100 and not the $1 billion guys.
Today and today only. Whatever is QR coded in, we're gonna you just have to word it correctly, like a politician. Like, we're gonna do our best to see that it gets to the right place to help those that are in need, that are children. And
there it is.
Just scan it, click the duck, what the fuck.
Yeah.
Don't be a schmuck.
Listen,
give me a buck.
I promise to donate 0.01% of all donations.
There you go.
To children.
There you go.
Children.
It could be your children. To Gabe's children.
Well, I didn't specify.
Understood, but I'm just saying, for legalese, I'm just helping you cover your, your proverbial legal butt.
I kid. Don't go there and donate.
That can go towards Gabe's children's Christmas presents and effectively cover his legal ass.
It could. You got to get, what is that one thing? LegalZoom? Yeah, like
there you go.
Legal insurance. Absolutely. Look at it. It looks like someone's giving a speech here, or did we miss the speech? Let's see. I think it looks like she's still giving a speech. This is the Cheryl campaign. Thanking the family. Look at that. All-American Sunday school attending family right there.
All to put up with this, so thank you.
That's what we like in America, right?
And a special thanks to my husband, Jason.
Number one cook.
4 kids, 2 dogs, a hamster, numerous goldfish, 5 campaigns, an insurrection, and 2 impeachments. You
Holy shit.
have been a truly amazing partner.
2 impeachments.
And an insurrection. I mean, what is she talking about?
Is that her resume?
I don't know what she just said there. That blew my mind. 2 impeachments in an insurrection.
I know these are tough times.
These are tough times.
Everyone voted for me, but I'm working for everyone. Every single one of you.
You know what? They should all do that, and I will give credit where credit's due. That's what you're supposed to do.
We all do better.
Reach out to the other side after you win.
She's obviously being 100% genuine.
It's funny. I was just going to say, even if it's disingenuous, she's saying the right things.
Yeah.
Give me your tired, your poor.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Oh, God. I can't listen to this. We're going to turn this down. Okay, so she's all gassed up. And I would be too. You just won the election. I mean, why not? It looks like they're covering this on C-SPAN as well. Maybe a little better camera angle there.
She declares that
East Brunswick, New Jersey.
I could totally get up to the mic and spew the same bullshit that these folks spew. I could do this. I could do it all day long, and I'd be a disingenuous fuck too, but I could do it.
Yeah, but do you want that life?
No, not at all.
Oh, God. Just everything you do in the spotlight, all of that.
Scumbaggery.
Yeah, and you got to sell out, and you pretty much have to. Like, if you want to participate, if you go to Washington and you want to play ball, both whether you're left or right, the leader of that party is going to come to you, or you're going to come to them. A bunch of freshmen, whatever, are going to come to them, and they're going to tell them, you've got to raise at least $500,000 to $1 million to even sit in the room with us, to even be a part of the GOP. You can't even be with us unless you've raised X amount of dollars. And so now, instead of governing, you've got to go to the call center they have there in Washington. And literally, it's a call center making calls all day, trying to get people to donate to your campaign. You're effectively a fucking beggar.
Yep. This is why when Ben Franklin started our great nation, he said that no politician should be able to provide for their family off of the office that they preside over, that they should have some sort of other business that covers their expenses and their livelihood. Otherwise, they're already compromised because they become
Would that
indebted
work this
to that
day
office.
and age, though?
It should. It absolutely should. Like, that's, again, these people were smarter than us, Gabe.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They were. Like, so they saw the writing on the walls, and they were correct. If you are a successful person in life, right, that you can provide for your family, and then you are able to run for office, an office which does not cover your expenses as the head of a household, right? Now you're doing it for love of country, not for an income. Like, these are just like very
Which is what they're
reasonable
supposed
statements.
to be doing. Yeah.
Right. So now the pendulum's swinging in the other way. If these people have no income other than the office they preside over, Benjamin Franklin was correct. They are already corrupted because they're more endeared to getting reelected than they are to doing the right thing because they need to provide for their family. So these were people that were smarter than us, bolder than us, because they literally went against another nation, started this country, did the right thing, put their money where their mouth was, so to say, lest we forget that the founding fathers that signed the Declaration of Independence were also basically signing their death warrants.
Yeah.
We don't have that level of boldness nowadays. Instead, we get people stepping up to the podium and acquiescing to the entire audience and saying, I'm here to represent all of you, even though you voted against me. Bullshit. If I got up to that podium and was being genuine, I would be like, I won. The people that voted against me, go fuck yourself. Now watch, I'm going to do all of the shit that you didn't support, that you didn't want. You can suck it and watch how I apply what I think is best. And, like, you know, it is what it is.
Hecker, have you no decorum, sir?
It's being honest. It's basically saying, I think your shit sucks. I chose a different route. I won. And now I'm going to apply what I think is the best against all of your opposing interest.
But doesn't
because
that
I can't be compromised.
But doesn't that attitude lead to a government shutdown?
No.
I mean, because it's like when you say, I won, therefore I'm right.
I will do my job, because that's what people are also supposed to do. They're supposed to get in office and represent the people that did vote them in, and they're supposed to apply the policies that they believe in, even against the opposition that didn't support them. That's literally the job. You don't
the job
show
is
up
negotiating.
No,
right?
the job is getting the job done without acquiescing to the people that have self-defined as being your enemy, so to say.
But then we're in a government shutdown.
We didn't. No, that's not true. When we went to the European front, when we sent soldiers to Europe, right? The soldiers don't start going, well, Nazis, I'm not really that much against you. Like, it's nothing wrong with defining your enemy in reality and fighting against them.
But that's the thing, though. Like, this is an enemy. This is your countrymen.
Those people that don't support your policies and are working against you are your enemy. So now the whole point of taking a political office is you were voted in by the people that support you to provide your level of action for what you think is best. Again, for all of the people, right? Like there is that inherent in it, right? You are supposed to do what you think is best for everyone. There's no reason to kiss the asses of the people that opposed you. It's bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Fair
tell them to go
point.
fuck themselves. Tell them to watch as you apply the policies that they were against, that they didn't support, and they thought wouldn't work. You can tell them to go suck it.
See, yeah, and I get that. I just worry that attitude gets us stuck in the mud like. But before we proceed, I do want to welcome Nathaniel. Nathaniel
Yay!
Hanks. Welcome, buddy. How are you doing, man?
Good. Does my mic sound wonderful?
You sound great.
It sound really sharp and clean.
It does. Yeah. Did you upgrade your mic? Oh, and
Yeah, I
he's
think I got
Oh, there he
a
is.
pretty good mic setup. I was just checking it out.
Nice.
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay? Check.
Oh yeah, buddy. You sound good.
You sound like you're ready to run for politics.
Yeah. Any thoughts
I
on
know.
these election results so far?
No, I haven't followed because I tend to believe that this is not the gear that needs to be turned and that of electoral and all this stuff. I mean, it works in a small way with your local communities and power holding that way. But
Mhm.
as far as any kind of party or like the way the government works, even working is a monstrosity because it's been co-opted by other interests. It's already captured, it's already sold out. And so in my view, none of this is the proper, it's not enough, it's not sufficient even. You're going to do a good job polishing that deck before the whole thing goes down if you don't start building life rafts out of the thing. It's like with that kind of a foresight. So, I think that a revolutionary atmosphere or politic is the only one that's going to counter what would otherwise be dragged along by this quote compromise where nothing is being compromised with except for how it's being sold to you. That's the compromise is acquiescence in my view. So
Nate,
I have been, yeah.
I know you were hosting a space. I don't know if you heard the amazing news, but we've reached a wonderful new level of tolerance. There's now a Muslim mayor of New York City.
All right. Well, as long as, I mean, what do you think's gonna, change much? I know that other people don't like him, and so for that, enjoy it, right? If here's the thing, whatever the ruling elite don't want, it's a good sign, And but again, that's not the the real change or whatever. It's just But cool. I haven't followed. I also heard I felt like an evil spirit left the world today.
Yeah, Dick Cheney did the first good thing in his life. He died.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought I felt the whoosh.
It was like the
of a
passing
shadow.
of it was like the passing
Yeah.
of Darth Vader. The electric,
Yes.
pulse shot up and all that stuff. Yeah.
I felt something in the force today, and it was fantastic.
It makes me concerned though, because now it's like, well, where did that egregore go, or who's the ruling guy now? I feel like it just is more and more. We're barely catching up to a crime, like we're catching it in reverse with like cold cases, and then it's like, oh, we caught the guy. He died 8 years ago. Oh, we know this guy's involved. He passed. And
Yeah, now all the
and-
stuff will come out about his nefarious deeds. Gabe and I were contemplating the concept that maybe Dick Cheney just got uploaded into the Halliburton mainframe.
It's like I have a new body. I feel young again. Oh my god.
Yep, exactly.
All these drones. God, I have
Isn't
perfect
the
knowledge and
new
vision. I wish I
Tron
lived my
movie
life
coming
differently.
out?
Oh God, let me out. Oh God, Lord, our sweet mother of Jesus. I want to be good again.
What
Can't
happens
be a
if the
whole
new
human.
Tron movie has Dick Cheney as one of the main characters in the mainframe?
Yeah, Tron. Yeah, Kronos. I can control time dilation.
Did that come out already?
I'm not sure if the new one hits the theaters yet.
I know it's supposed to come out soon. Oxygen.
Oh no, it hasn't. It went terribly. So it's Schadenfreude if
the director.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought we were talking about Tron, that new Tron movie or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
it bombed big.
Oh, okay. So it has come out and it bombed.
Yeah, and people
Wow.
yeah. So
Doesn't surprise me though. I mean, the first one didn't even do that great, I don't think.
Well, this is anyway. I'm embarrassed to know about the Tron movie. I've watched too much stuff on media to be knowing about that. But it's one of these things that you look at for like the modern state of the art for media and entertainment. You know, how many billions, right? Like how many Flints could you have fixed for the amount of a Tron? And
Right.
yet it's a big failure. And there's a story being told in a kind of like new it's like worse than a Hays Code because it's not explicit, and people will throw slings and arrows at the kind of facade being put on if they don't like that facade, but it's all a facade, and there's not critically a lot going on, and there's critically a lot of propaganda in it, so I look to the big war movies. Age of Disclosure is going to come out, right? Like looking at these narratives, and I worry that people are going to get, though it's funny, if a Steven Spielberg movie was coming out, you would have expected a trailer like a year ago that was making everybody talk about it constantly. It's funny that it's like being stealth walked, or I just don't pay attention in the right way.
I'm not seeing the commercials or anything on that one either.
Yeah. It's curious. My Dark Journalist got banned by the director. I thought that was good. That's on my radar.
Okay.
By pointing out that the intelligence community was involved with its funding and production,
Involved is putting it lightly.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. I had to turn my camera off to take a bite of food. What happened? Dark Journalist did what?
Oh, he got blocked by the director of the Age of Disclosure film for pointing
Dan
out
Parra?
the intelligence connections. Yes, precisely.
Okay. For pointing out that they were involved in the creation and release of the film.
Funding. Everything.
And funding. They were involved in funding as well.
Scripting, filming, casting. I mean,
No
come on.
The reason for being.
Did I miss?
Perhaps?
Did like a document come out that I missed, or is this?
No, it's
you're
just
reading between
it's
the
just
lines?
It's
no,
an
it's just open
accumulation of
secret.
knowledge.
It's like in your face. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the fact of the matter what these guys' jobs are. It's just a fact of the matter what they do and who they're connected to, and the fact that they're involved in a plurality and majority in aspects is a sign. Right. It's just a fact. I mean, it's just information that's available. Why are there mostly this kind of guy here that has an intelligence connection? Right.
Why is that?
Yeah.
That's so weird. We were just talking about that earlier. Why does the CIA always pop up in the weirdest places? In fact, one of the winners today was a CIA
Officer.
From
Officer.
Yeah, from 04 to 2016 or something like that.
So Nate, I had suggested earlier that it's my opinion that if you are formally affiliated with any of the intelligence agencies, that should be a disqualifying factor to run for political office. What do you think on that?
I mean, yeah, but already it's in a perfect world. No, because we're not in the world where that would have mattered. You're already caught up already. We got to start sooner. The leak is coming up further up the pipe. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but that
is a good system. That's how it ought to be. Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at. Is if
exactly.
If our founding fathers knew that we were going to have these intelligence agencies, I imagine they would have had some quill to paper discussing it.
Yeah, and it's really funny because I've been going back and looking at a history of the founding fathers through just different lenses. And whenever you do that, you see the corporate interest already beginning, and just the capital interest of landowning being people stick on the white, but it was the landowning part that was the critical formation of a citizen, and then everybody else could go suck rocks.
Right.
And what they didn't imagine was that whenever they got involved and nested together and started cooperating, that there would be factions developing within their general interest. They just saw that they were in a prized position of privilege, and they wanted to maintain that. They didn't really think about what would happen whenever they started the gated community, so to speak. And that ended up having certain kind of oligarchic versus eventually corporatocratic things where you had branches of people consolidating and accumulating, and other people are trying to get a piece of the action, but they're, by the nature of how this thing's growing, cutting things out, and you get a bifurcation in the parties where Republicans are usually trying to, in the modern context, keep up as oligarchs to get to where the corporate Democrats are at this point. So you've got like two sides serving a different kind of economic branch. It's all in the same thing. But it started.
I would love to be a fly on the wall if we can have the founding fathers sitting in a room contemporarily and we explain to them what corporate personship is.
It's incredible. And then if you take that with the doctrine of ultra varies, which is that if it's bad for business, we won't do it no matter what. Think about what that means. You know?
Well, there's her stats.
Talk about shoe on the other foot. It used to be if it was bad for we the people, the corporations suffered. Like you used to have to apply for like a license to be in business, and if you couldn't like prove your value to society, you didn't get your license reissued. Now we're in the pendulum is swung in the other direction, that now corporations have corporate personship, and how dare you take that corporate person's right to do business away. No matter how much you can prove they're a detriment to society.
Yep. And they can donate ungodly amounts of money to political candidates and all the other rights.
And then profit off of front running the information that they have access to, so that their stock portfolios can grow at an exponential rate that is slightly peculiar to the average citizen's ability to profit off of their investments.
This really is a pretty simple mechanism, but it's a ratchet, you know, and if you keep just pulling on this one direction, it's going to tighten the knot, not the other way around. So I think it's really pivotal in going back to political conversations or anything. I just think it needs to be the proper focus, because the governments have been sold out and sold you out. And so the only way forward, and this isn't pessimism, it's because you need to start looking around for another exit. It's like, people want to yell fire in the theater, but without telling you that the main exit's been blocked. And so if you have that, then like we're in a crisis and we have to figure out a way around it now that doesn't exist on the table, in the modern paradigm. So this goes back to, what, can be done as far as, the open science, the open source sciences, and being able to radically distribute something that could disrupt a paradigm without being giving everybody a nuke. It would just be machines that stopped working or what have you. But, and giving back to communities and organizing around your communities and getting foodstuffs going back up and being able to grow seeds that aren't genetically, have dead man switches on them. It's ridiculous.
It's a great point because, I've had to, with the government shutdown and then the election tonight, I've covered more politics in the last few weeks than I've covered in, months and months. And it's theater, and they have sold out a long time ago. And it's interesting how much they can still get people divided and revved up. By continuously hitting them over the head with these messages.
Well, and the thing is,
it's a psyop.
I don't know, Gabe. You sound like a racist right now, if not a misogynist.
I probably, yeah. Well, there you go.
And I think that, a lot of people also just don't have any class consciousness. And so there's not really another thing to do. It's like you're just telling someone that things are bad and they get it, but there's no clear thing for them to do, or they don't have a way of understanding why it is that way. So they just think that they're not working hard enough. They don't see that because it's not right and it's impossibly corrupt, you wouldn't naturally be able to figure out that the dollar has been slipped away from you and you'll lose your house that you bought to property taxes. And you'll have to work until you're 75 on a plan of wealth extraction. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to people because it doesn't make sense. It's not right. And most people have a generally good view of the world that they have to come into an intellectual understanding of how twisted it can get. And so if you give people a certain kind of outlet for understanding where the enemy is, that it's in 0.001% of person that you've never met or talked to, and start taking off this mad at anybody else for any other thing, being the way they are, being in the position, being born, whatever. That is not the issue of importance. Or you just want a place in the matrix and maybe a new kind of steak that you've never had before manufactured to you for selling out your fellow man.
Yeah. We've definitely see
a
lot of that in covering politics. Yeah. You see a lot of steak eaters in politics.
And give me a VR headset set up with a flight simulator, full surround television, and I want a traditional woman.
Be in your happy place.
I just want to be one of the fat guys in the floating chairs, like in Wall-E.
I remember that. That was actually a good movie. I enjoyed that movie.
It was shocking.
Oh, it was a great movie. There was a lot of interesting stuff in there.
Yeah. It was it had such a message for a animation. I remember being shocked by just thinking that, oh, you guys are actually, you're gonna make somebody with Up or something. It's like, oh, you're gonna make me cry. Is that what you're doing? Is it a cartoon? You're not supposed to do that.
For real. That's like how Up started. We're like, get ready, you're gonna cry.
And this one, it's like, oh, so you have so you have a thesis about how consumer culture driven by technological, is leading to a poisoning of a planet. Interesting. You didn't expect that on board.
I have a feeling that Wall-E is going to become as much a documentary as Idiocracy became, which we didn't see coming.
My wife got me a shirt that says Idiocracy was a documentary.
There you go.
It is shocking. It was so funny. I forget when it was. It was several years ago. Trump made this big entrance at some stadium or something. And I was like, oh my God, that was like when they introduced the president in Idiocracy. It's like a wrestler entrance.
Yep. I swear to you, I remember when Idiocracy first came out, and I thought it was hilarious because it was so stupid and stuff like that.
Right.
And now I watch that movie and I don't even laugh. Like I'm I'm just like, son of a bitch.
If they had those vending machines with fast food in them, we'd be hitting those up.
You. Yes, exactly.
Yep. I love you.
You sound retarded.
Get out of here and baiting. All right. I'm sorry. I can go off on Idiocracy tangents for days.
Pull up on the throttle. We got to get to a
more rarefied. Have you watched that one with your older kid? I mean, I know your younger one's not
yet, but okay. I should.
It makes me wonder what the perspective would be.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I'll have to do that.
Back when I was your age, I watched this and we knew it wasn't true. What do you think?
It's going to be like, that's like school, Dad.
Yeah.
That's my fault. You went to public school. I'm sorry, kid. Dad was partying. Sorry. Oh, boy.
Oh, that's funny.
Nathan, up the IQ of this conversation here.
Oh no,
it's definitely taking it down a couple pegs.
Man, no, I did come up with just by listening to things as a kind of a work stream, and then the idea is to plan out just different structures so that there's one kind of space is just one kind of a thing, and then we'll have an interview. Actually, on Thursday, me and Hollow Cypher are going through do a read through of Alexander Parkhomov's Space Earth Human book, which talks about neutrinos.
Cool.
yeah, it's going to be great. Oh, Eric, yeah, I think that you could get a kick out of this, and so that's going to be Thursday at about 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put out a thing.
Oh, that's a good
And then
time
this
for me.
Saturday.
Put it, yeah.
Good,
Send us in the
good.
chat, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'd love to check
You
that out.
had me at neutrinos.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this guy is a serious Russian nuclear physicist, and
Ooh,
it's
nice.
a work that's been published and helped created by Bob Grenier, who we follow, and we'll be talking about more in the future. But on Saturday, I have a big. I'm going to do a narrative timeline of 5,000 years in over like a 3 or 4 hour space, and be able to probably put that behind, and it'd be like
5,000
a presentation that's
years
fairly
of
done.
what?
How things got to the way they are, the legacy of science, the
So you're gonna
legacy
go
of power
back
control.
5,000
and-
years?
Yeah, starting pre-Sumeria, and but that doesn't even get there. That's just to set up the scientific foundations. Wink, wink.
Okay.
But then it's going to run through the Knights Hospitality era at 1,000 years, up to 1600s, and then going up to the 18 and 1900s, and that gives you a foundation for electromagnetic revolutions, following into the 20th century, where it's like now we're playing with space-time and plasmoids, and it kind of tapers off by the time we get to the modern disclosure of the Tic Tac. I think I'd like to end it there, and by the end of it, see that that's something that we've exactly made, and it would just be obvious by looking at what's been accomplished in the sciences.
That works for me.
Dude, that sounds incredibly in depth. Who are you? Are you doing it just by yourself?
Well, that's the thing. It would be nice to have somebody to bounce this off of. So, yeah, the invitations are going out there. If you guys want to help jockey or maybe read through, it'll be just a document that I'm going to be able to go through just in fashion. Might be about 45 or 60 pages, maybe a little bit longer.
Wow.
Maybe quite a bit longer, but I want to go through it all and just get it all out, and then it's just a book that you can read on your own time. So if someone wants to have it spelled out for them, here that is right now. I can also clip up every bit of it in the future to make however much out of it, right? And then I can then have the document out so that it's just available. And then I can move on, because I didn't mean to write a timeline. This has been such a tangent. I didn't expect to do this at all. I want to get back to vortex physics.
Well, I could definitely. I mean, I don't have anything scheduled currently, and if you just need to take turns on reading page after page, I can definitely chime in. I mean, I'm pretty good with words. I can read.
Oh, great! That would be wonderful. I'll reach out as things get up there. But
yeah, that sounds cool.
But I was going to say that tonight I'm also looking forward to. Found a bunch of amazing things tonight, like learned it by going through some of these clips that I've been playing. And I found some amazing connections with Boyd Bushman, this guy named Obleski, Putoff, Podkletnov, and Daniel Davis. And everybody is like saying a part of the thing. And I can see it as a documentary in my mind. So I'm looking forward to taking all these clips and putting them back to back to back together. It's kind of why I did that work, is taking note and going back at the time. And
I'm actually really curious. So I checked, I was, bouncing back and forth, and I was looking at the website when you were streaming, and I saw the Oblinsky stuff, and I just so happened to click on when you had highlighted, apparently he was discussing magnetohydrodynamics. And I was like, well, there we go. This is the magic word that keeps popping up that blows my mind.
Yeah, MHDs.
Yeah, it's like, fuck. Like
and orbital angular momentum as a way of understanding like the bit in the mix of all that. It's like your point, And so as that's moving around and lining those up with other people's like pointing your head in the same direction. This is that alignment and that spin alignment. And this is what gives over to fusion, because you don't have to smash things together and then hope that maybe magically it's like, no. Why don't we just getting a little conga line together?
I think of it like prop dimensions, and when you're talking about like angular momentum, like how the shape of a prop and how it beats against the water, which gives you thrust. So that I believe that there are ways that we can accomplish this energetically. That if you have a beam operating at the right angle against another energetic surface, that you can still get thrust.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this in a plasmoid confinement is that you have this spinning around, going out centrifugal, but then you also have centripetal, like in a tornado, where you've got counter rotation, and that also gets into the de Glock and the counter rotating, mercury stuff, all this, because that's a perfect way to have a harmonizing gyroscopic balance that then your point can be played with, and you could go in the direction of a point by converting your it's something like your speed tensor into a motion tensor or something like that. But
And in a way, you can say that these are different, almost observation points or perspectives of a toroid on whole. That these, like, you could find, if you're looking at a toroid, you can find the part that looks like, if you focus in and don't look at the whole, you could find a part that looks like a tornado. You could find the part, that looks like the exhaust of a quark. You could, there's all different aspects, but effectively it brings us back to this whole concept of a toroid, which I would say is like what Schauberger and Tesla were getting at. Like that's harmony. That's the whole system.
Yeah, and that's what I'll be happy to lay out in the 20th century specifically, because it goes to Winston Bostick, Kenneth Shoulders, Parkhomov, Dubovik, so many people, and Puthoff in that Weinstein interview. Like once you have Taurus in your mind and understand what it is, you'll just hear it whenever these guys.
That's when Eric Weinstein had. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's when Eric Weinstein had Hal Puthoff on, or was that on American
and I could play
Alchemy?
this if you would like. By the way, yes, that's the American Alchemy. But
yeah,
basically,
play it, buddy.
Oh, would you? Yes. Okay, great. Here, see if this comes through.
And I'm just going to chime in, not that I'm disinterested, but I did not eat before I came on, Gabe. I just jumped right in.
What? Get yourself a bite, buddy.
Yes,
I was wondering how you got in here so soon. I was like, what did he eat?
I totally skipped that because I just wanted to jump in. So I completely appreciate you having me, Gabe. Nate, I know you just showed up and I'm going to bail out, but let's do this stuff again in the future. And
more is coming. Deciphering.tv.
Whoop whoop. Yeah, it's a beautiful
coming.
thing. It's building. All right, guys. Have an excellent evening.
All right, thanks, Eric. We'll see you
later.
All right. So once he
we don't have to go into it. We could save our
no, you got me interested now. Plus I have a question for you that
I'd be happy to. Very often, I just
afterwards
don't find a conversation that it's hard to have because people have to be interested in order for it to go anywhere. You can't just make someone see counter-rotating solitons.
Right. Well, first they have to know what that means. But yeah, what do you got here? Let's take a look. Hold on. Maybe I can make it bigger. 1 second. Let me try to do.
Yeah.
There. That's a little bit bigger. Here, and then I'm going to just do this. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Oh, there we go.
Got it. Okay. So just listen to this. And I actually have a couple of bits. And maybe I could do this for fun because I've just highlighted this out. If you'll bear with me, I could play. It won't take maybe but a few minutes all told.
Yeah, you're good, buddy.
Okay.
We've covered the election. I mean, if you're still here watching for the election, I mean, we announced all the winners, Democrats across the board, and now we are basically the only announcement we have left is Prop 50, whether that passes or not. So we'll announce that once we know. But yeah, go ahead, bud.
All right, so here, check this out.
Oh, no audio.
Did you hear that?
No, there's no audio.
Okay. Oh, I know what it is. OBS setting. I didn't have it. I think I got it.
Okay.
Because I'm playing it through OBS. That's the deal.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm learning it now. Okay, but trust me, that was fantastic. Let's hear it again.
No audio.
Would be something like
there we go.
Horizontal subspaces. The weird feature of going around a circuit and always going up the stairs and yet never climbing in height. That would be what we would call a holonomy effect due to curvature. Paradox.
And you can go way beyond that. So there are all kinds of toroidal geometries, for example, where you have no EM fields whatsoever, but you have strong vectored scalar fields. You can go way beyond that. So there are all kinds of toroidal geometries, for example, where you have no EM fields whatsoever,